get the meeting underway now. You're all very welcome to the Town Hall in Enniskillen. Welcome to you in the Town Hall and members who are online as well. And of course, the public who are following the live streaming of the meeting. So you're all very welcome. Fáilte roimh ilig. And I think it's a 26 or 27 item agenda that we'll be working through tonight. You have the agenda papers, everyone, and that's that. Just before we go to apologies, I want to say a few things. Obviously, right now, there is huge concern about the rise in heating and fuel costs, and there has been protest activity variously in the council area. Global events are impacting locally, and we'll just keep that watching eye on that developing situation there. I was just wondering myself, that as a council, we're very, very good at having an anti-poverty kind of policy or approach or strategy, but at a committee meeting would want to raise that later in the month. Is there anything we can do as a council just to look at supporting the most vulnerable in these matters? We always do that. Also, the gold mine inquiry has resumed. Today was day 2. We'll hear more about that, I'm sure, in the coming days and weeks as well. And the council is actively involved in that matter as well. We had the wonderful coming together in this chamber of the Irish language speakers and enthusiasts in a Dáil na Gaeilge. Kind of was a historic first, and I know that the people concerned are going to take part in a consultation with the council, and it was a powerful event. The Omagh Half Marathon, another of these major successes, and unbelievable amount of organisation goes into a thing like that, and the level of participation, I think it was 4,000 and 1,000, 5,000 in a couple of different disciplines. One would be the half marathon itself, and the other would be a 5K. But really bad weather on the Sunday morning, but to look at those taking part, and hopefully to take part in it myself next year, but to look at the faces of the people taking part, it's hugely rewarding. And thanks to the organisers of that, the Omagh Half Marathon Committee and the Harriers. Drama Festival, the All-Ireland Confined Drama Finals, we're supporting it as a local government authority, of course. And after the first 5 nights, fairly intense plays and major themes being addressed. And you'd nearly need counselling after some of them, it's so real to life, so true to life. And commend the Mid-Ulster Drama Festival Committee there. And Enniskillen Company were there on Sunday night with a tremendous play as well. And Ina Trimble and all the team there deserve huge recognition as well for the work they're doing. And Dave and Stefan, the team that is familiar to our Fermanagh-based councillors. The Rural Engagement event in Newton Butler was an important kind of opportunity for the rural community to coalesce around priority issues. And Omagh's Future Recall event on Thursday, the 30th of April, coming up. And over the Easter weekend, I had occasion as chair of the council to support a number of local companies who were doing business in China. And I was very grateful to Kerry Curran, the head of the Executive Office Bureau in Beijing, because at short notice, she met a local company on the Sunday evening with about 2 days' notice to give them a bit of steer and navigation help, when doing business in China. I thought that was very helpful. So more than one local company supported in that way because they asked. And I want to tell you that Tony McGartlin from Omagh, he's a member of the St. Eugene's band and also a great local heritage man, especially on the theme of the railways, the GNR. Tony's mother was Italian, and he travelled out to a town in Italy and met the local mayor, and there's been exchanges there, where Tony was like an ambassador for us in respect of linking up with a town there in Italy. So I think that's the things I wanted to say before the meeting. But finally, for now, could I say that I want to mention her name, Ellie Flanagan. and a victim of domestic murder here in Enniskillen. Legal proceedings are underway, of course, but there's a huge sense of loss within this community. And I think I want to leave it at that, because I'll make my own contact with the family in the near future. I'm sure some of you will have done that in recent weeks. But I couldn't not mention Ellie Flanagan, and I know that individual councillors have contacted me to ensure that I would, to give her the due respect, as part of this whole of society response to violence against women and girls, and to remember Ellie's name, very much so. So I'll leave it at that. I have a couple of requests for any urgent, relevant business. One of them, I think, has social cohesion an issue at the heart of it. So Councillor Paul Robinson did ask me. I'll bring Paul into play now. That's you, Paul, you're on. If you wanted to table your item now.
Thank you, Chair, for letting me in here at this time. I condemn the recent break-in and vandalism attack on the Sunday school building at Kilcoon Parish Church, Newtown Butler, over the Easter weekend, which is most the second time of the Christian calendar, where our Lord Jesus Christ was crucified and died and rose again for your sins and mine. I was distressed and saddened to see at first hand on Sunday morning, when I visited the building and met with the minister and some of the congregation. There was paint through over the walls and windows of the hall, Sunday school hall. Tables and chairs were racked, and sectarian slogans was wrote on the notice on one of the white boards on the hall, "Up the Ra," which was wrote over the 10 Commandments, which was put up for the children that Sunday, was in the hall. They also climbed up onto the roof of the church. This attack caused deep hurt and fear in the Protestant community of Newtown Butler, bringing back memories of the past. We thought we had moved away from this kind of hate crime. I call on all parties within this chamber to condemn this attack on church property in Newtown Butler, and ask anyone with information to contact the PSNI. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Robinson. I'd like to bring in Councillor Warrington now.
Thank you, Chair, for letting me in. Well, obviously, Councillor Robinson has covered a lot. Again, as a local councillor in the DA of Erne East, I was contacted about the events that happened in the church hall in Newtown Butler, and as has already been said, they were quite distressing times for the locals there, for the parishioners, and for everybody involved with the church. I've been talking to the PSNI, actually, just talked to them today, and the inquiries are still ongoing, but they have identified, I think some individuals have been identified, but that's a work in progress. I certainly would echo what Councillor Robinson has said. I certainly hope that there is a cross-party condemnation of this attack. It basically doesn't do anybody any benefit. Some of the things were vile. What took place is certainly the language that was used on the board where the 10 Commandments was written on. So I'd certainly hope that all councillors see their way to condemn this vile attack. Thankfully, it's been all the local ministry from both the Roman Catholic Church and the churches have all come together at this time, but I think it's important that all the political figures do the same. So that's all I have to say, Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Warrington. Thanks for that. And Councillor Deehan.
Thank you, Chair. Well, I would like, as an independent councillor, to voice my strong condemnation of this attack on Newtown Butler Church Hall. It was an incident, a sectarian incident, that has no place in our society. It was a deliberate act of vandalism, which was intended to cause disruption, disharmony, and a great deal of pain to the community there in Newton Butler. This is not the sort of activity that will promote reconciliation of our divided society, and I want to condemn it in the strongest possible way. And I would appeal to those people who have perpetrated this terrible act to really reflect on their behaviour and to consider what it achieves. Because, you know, as Councillor Robinson has said, Easter is one of the most important times in the Christian calendar. It's a time of new resurrection, of hope and life and light. And certainly these actions ran very contrary to those sentiments. So I think the timing of it was very deliberately chosen to cause the most hurt. So I would appeal to those people to reflect on their actions and really remedy their ways, and to see that this is not the path to building a fair and just society, Chair. So thank you for the opportunity to comment.
No problem, Gora Mayogat. I'll go now to Councillor Riley, followed by Councillor Hayes.
Thank you, Chair. And I want to be clearly on the record here as absolutely condemning the actions that took place. This is hooliganism. This is just wanton vandalism. It is, and the people that were involved in it do not represent anybody. They have no standing within the community. The community on all persuasions are outraged about it and are definitely of the same opinion that this is should not be happening and shouldn't take place in our towns and villages, never mind our churches. And certainly anybody that's involved should hang their head in shame for doing it. And if there is anyone there and the police investigation going on, anybody with information should give that information to the police. There's video very clearly showing who was involved in it, so it shouldn't be that hard to work it out. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Councillor Hayes.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I'd just like to add my condemnation of these events. Places of worship are sacred, no matter what religion they represent, and they should be respected as such. And there's no place in this society for any amount of hate or sectarianism or violence at all. So it is not wanted, and I totally condemn it, and I send my thoughts out to the congregation and the residents.
Okay, thank you. Just some councillors online have their hands up and may not intend them to be. I'll go now to Councillor Garvin McPhillips.
Thank you, Chair. Just to add my total support in condemning this attack. As Councillor Robinson stated, I think we'll be past all these kinds of activities, so there's no call for any of these types of attacks. And if you look at the widespread anger right across the community from both sides, it just really says it all. So just add my voice in condemning the incident. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor. I go now to Councillor Roof.
Thanks, Chair. And just to echo the condemnation that has been said to this point, as again has been repeated, this is something that we would have hoped that we were past at this stage. So it's really troubling to see that take place in Newtown Butler. And my thoughts are with the congregation over the coming weeks. I attended a meeting that the council ran in Newtown Butler 2 or 3 weeks ago, and it was good to see, you know, a selection from across the community around Newtown Butler, and that's the sort of thing that we should be hopefully emphasising and promoting, that positivity, rather than seeing a group of thugs really trying to drag us back to where we don't want to go. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Gannon.
Thank you, Chair. Just also to join the condemnation of these actions. These individuals are nothing but pure vandals who have very little positive to contribute. If this is what they get up to, quite frankly, it's pathetic, this sort of thing. we should really be past this, and there is no place for this sort of sectarian vandalism and hatred being spread, because that's what it is. And hopefully the culprits will be apprehended and held responsible as they should be, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I go back to Thomas here. Thomas, did you want to come in again? No. It's just my microphone system here on the screen it's going live, red every time, and hopefully this can be addressed. But that's been addressed now. So I'll look around. Just I want to join with the condemnation as well. Councillor Robinson and Councillor Warrington, whoever carried this out and for whatever motivation, it's not understood by anybody, it's not supported by anybody. And personally speaking, I don't believe that those who carry this out promote any ideology. That's just my own personal thought. So I'll leave it at that. And thanks for raising that, Councillor Robinson. And just to acknowledge a recent bereavement in your family as well. Your brother-in-law, Harry Givens, isn't that right, Paul? Okay, thanks very much. Okay, so, okay, Paul, put you on here, no problem.
Thank you very much for your sympathy at this time, Chair.
No problem,
Thank you.
Paul, thank you. And so we're at the apologies section of the meeting, so we'll go to each of the group leaders. Councillor Coyle.
Councillor Divine Gallagher.
Okay. And then Councillor Warrington, that right?
I'm not aware of any. I think Councillor Irvine's online. Yeah.
He is indeed. He is indeed. Again, Councillor Robinson might be next. No apologies.
No apologies.
Okay, all here. Right, that's great. And then Councillor Gannon.
Yes, an apology for Councillor McGrath. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. And then I'll go to Councillor Roof.
Thanks, Chair. Councillor Donny's been held up at work, but should be with us shortly.
Okay, and I think we're all right otherwise, aren't we? Okay, that's good. So we'll move now, colleagues, till item 2 on the agenda. And this is to confirm and sign the minutes of the council meeting held on the 3rd of March. And it amounts to 19 pages. So this is the accuracy territory we're in. So page 1, page 2, 3, and 4, and 5, and 6, and 7, and 8, and 9, and 10, and 11, 12, and 13, 14, and 15, 16, and 17, 18, and 19. Okay, so I'll sign those. I've done that, in fact. Okay, just need a proposer and seconder now for the adoption. Councillor Thompson and Councillor Elliott have proposed and seconded. Others rolling. Thank you. And that's agreed. So then we go now till the 3rd item on the agenda, which is to invite councillors to declare interests in any matter that's on the agenda. Councillor Ovens.
Thank you, Chair. And it's just a few items correspondence. So it's 4.3, item 5.11, then 4.4, item 15.1, and then new standalone item of 15.1 and 15.10.
Okay, thank you.
All letters. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. And I'll just look around the chamber. No other declarations of interest. And online similarly. Okay, so then we deal with matters arising from the council meeting. And I know you'll have some items identified, Alison, as well. So if we go to page 1 for matters arising, page 2, page 3, okay.
Thank you, Chair. Members, just at the bottom of page 3 is the reference to the restoration of emergency general surgery at South West Acute Hospital. So you'll have seen from your emails earlier, we circulated the elected member briefing from the Western Trust. It was dated for Good Friday, but we only received it this morning and have also uploaded it to Decision Time. So it's the second item in the other correspondence. And if I may, Chair, just on then a related matter, Members will recall that we've been engaging with the Trust in relation to the proposed workshop on the visioning and associated work for the hospital, but also for Fermanagh and West Tyrone. So the proposal from the Trust is that we do that workshop on the 13th of May, which is the date that we are already holding in the diary for the Health Subcommittee, but that we would extend an invitation to all councillors. And then that the subcommittee meeting due to happen on that date would instead take place on Wednesday, the 24th of June, and the new Chief Executive, Karen Hargan, would be available to attend that meeting. And finally, Chair, as noted in the brief, the Chief Executive, as you know, is retiring, and his last day of work, I think, will be Friday week, the 24th of April.
Okay. Councillor O'Reilly.
Thanks, Chair. Just when we are discussing the Southwest and all things medical, if I could just mention a couple of things, Chair. I had the opportunity a week ago or so to meet with Mark Gillespie in regards to the provision of services for women with endometriosis and related complications. And I'm glad to say that there is now a lead nurse to liaise with the women and to help them seek the service that they need in a timely manner, and that there is another consultant going to come online hopefully very soon to be able to help with the backlog of cases that has stacked up for people waiting for those services. And in addition to that, Chair, there is a new four-armed robot. Maybe this is the way of the future, being delivered in the Trust area. My understanding it's in Acknagelvin, and this will help with the surgical procedures. So hopefully the advance of technology will do its part to help the waiting lists of people who are desperately, particularly in the endometriosis related fields, needing really immediate intervention and help. That one, Chair, just then to bring it to the local area, if you indulge me, the Lisnaskea Health Centre, and the understanding there that we have seen that there is 10 GPs going to transfer, and hopefully another GP being advertised for at this point in time. And we are going to meet in May with the Lisnaskea Health Centre as a council.
And there's a letter too, Thomas. There's correspondence as well on this, but
that's
just
yeah. So, like, I mean, I just my general point, Chair, without labouring it too much, was just that I think we rightly criticise when services isn't being provided, and we hold to account those that are to provide those services. But I think we have to acknowledge when there is positive work being done. So
okay.
I'll leave it at that, Chair.
Okay, Councillor Gannon.
Thank you, Chair. Just to acknowledge the points Councillor O'Reilly made there, we have to say when there's something good being done, we have to say well done to the Trust on that, and congratulate the good things that are happening, because there are many good things happening, as well as us trying to hold the Trust to account on delivery. In particular, Chair, I want to talk about the brief that was sent, and if you need a proposer to note that, I'll do that at this stage, Chair. The brief contains quite a big section around the vision planning that has taken quite a while to get started at this point. And there's obviously a series of engagements planned and with ourselves also. And something that I think that we as a council should be stressing at these is that these engagements aren't just another tick box exercise, another attempt to be seen to be consulting or be seen to be talking to people. Because that's happened so many times over recent years, whether it be Pathfinder or other consultations that just haven't actually listened to people. And something that we should be pushing as council is proper co-production. There's no reason why in the group making the vision we shouldn't have elected members directly as part of the group. There should also be members of the public directly involved, and not just a small token 1 or 2 people in a group of 15. It needs to be a substantial number. So this is meant to be like the services from Minister Nesbitt's announcement at the time. You would have thought that it was meant to be this bigger idea as well. And there's plenty of interest in not just this chamber, but in the community. And there's loads of people who have abundant skills and knowledge who could really add to it, and we could really tap into the community resource. You just have to look at the plan, the roadmap made by Save Our Acute Services, just to see how much knowledge and capability we have in our community, Chair. I think that's something that we should be really pushing in these pre-engagement events, as they've been called in this brief. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Adam. Going now to Councillor Deehan, followed by Councillor Hayes.
Thank you, Chair. Well, I just want to welcome Councillor O'Reilly's information regarding improvement to services for women, and particularly services for those women who suffer from endometriosis. This is a very severe and disabling condition which affects many women across the full age spectrum. Unfortunately, in our Western Trust area, gynecological waiting lists are really very prolonged, and many women have suffered for too long, trying desperately to get answers and treatments for their endometriosis. So this is a major step forward, and I think it is a reflection now of the emphasis that the Western Trust is placing on services for women and girls, and I do welcome that. It would be remiss of me also not to say that in terms of the general practice workforce, we do have gynecological general practitioner services which are currently supporting the Western Trust in terms of taking some of the workload away and delivering those services in general practice. So it's a very welcome development, and I await the news of the impact that this additional service will have on waiting times. It won't happen overnight, but it's certainly a major step in the right direction, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Councillor Hayes.
Thank you, Chair. I'd just like to echo the comments from Councillor O'Reilly about the Lisnaskea Health Centre and the GPs that will be allocated. So 10 at the moment, hopefully 11. That's great news. I think it's a bit of reassurance for the residents of Erne East, because the new centre is due to be open the end of this year, and we needed that reassurance that it will be staffed, not just by multidisciplinary teams, but by actual GPs. So that's great news. And also about the pathways for the endometriosis, which is a horrendous condition that women have been suffering for years and dismissed, and even when they were recognised, it wasn't treated properly or referred properly, anything like that. So just to welcome that. I'd also just like to pick up another point. There is a letter about this from the Minister, and he does mention that.
Could we deal with that later?
Can we do that when it comes to that?
Yeah.
Okay, that's no problem.
Thank you,
I'll come
Nora.
back to that.
That's great. And then Councillor Warrington.
Thank you, Chair. I'm just glad to hear Councillor Riley talk about endometriosis. I can never pronounce that right, but it's a condition that I am very aware of. Having a couple of close family members who have suffered from it, and I know the pain. I was glad actually to join the Minister very recently on a visit to the new health centre in Lisnaskea, and I have to say it's a very impressive building, and I think if we can get it right, it's going to be a great benefit to the people of Erne East and the surrounding area. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, I'll just check with Alison that if there were any actions contained in the comments of the members,
Oh, thank you, Chair. Perhaps maybe Councillor Gannon might be minded just to accept the proposals around the workshop date and the rescheduling of the Health Subcommittee in his proposal. So we just would need a seconder for that, Chair. And maybe if I could just clarify, does Councillor Gannon wish us to maybe make those suggestions regarding membership, particularly of the steering group, in advance of that engagement session? If so, we could include that maybe within the proposal, Chair.
Okay, I'll take your willingness or otherwise, Adam, to go down that road.
Yes, Chair, if Council's content.
Okay, and then that was seconded by Councillor Crawford. Thank you. Okay, that's agreed, members. Okay, Councillor Ovens.
Just a declaration, Chair. No.
Okay. So I think that was page 3 and page 4 now. And just if all members online can check if your hand is up or should be down, perhaps. Page 4 and page 5. Okay.
Chair, just to note, we have a response back from the Chinese consulate acknowledging the council's letter back regarding the recent invitation to China. So just for noting.
Okay, I'll look for a proposal to note that. Okay, Councillor Robinson and Councillor Hawkes proposed and seconded and agreed, members. Okay, that's page 5, page 6. Page 7. Page 8. Page 9.
Sorry, Chair, just on
Yeah.
page 8, we have a response from the DFC Minister's Office. Just this is in relation to the impact of the cost of living motion and specifically the queries regarding the anti-poverty strategy. So an update is provided in relation to the consultation, the findings of which are now being considered. And the letter also notes that while DFC is leading on the strategy, it is actually an executive strategy. So therefore it will be subject to executive agreement.
Councillor Coyle.
Thanks, Chair. Yeah, a disappointing response. And if I can just say that regarding the cost of living crisis, and that we need to recognise the immense pressure that is being placed on workers, families and businesses as a result of the huge price rises on energy costs, especially home heating oil as a result of the US-Israeli war on Iran. The majority of our homes in the Fermanagh district area heat their homes by home heating oil, making so many vulnerable to these price shocks. We are already in a cost of living crisis and families need help. So I'd like to propose that we write back to the Communities Minister, who has a responsibility for tackling fuel poverty, to set up a scheme, ASAP, 3 months is too long, to get the £17 million, albeit in an inadequate amount, but to get this money out into the pockets of those who are struggling the most. Thanks, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Brown.
Thank you, Chair. I'm happy to second Debbie's proposal there. 17 million. First of all, just to say that is a derisory amount of money to actually solve this issue, because people are facing really, really high bills for home heating oil and for fuel costs as well. 17 million wouldn't even touch the sides of what's needed. But this money has been sitting there for a month now. The Minister for Communities has had this for a month and we still have not seen any support coming out from the Minister. While he's sitting thinking and scratching his head how to get this money out to people, people are sitting in cold homes, looking and waiting for that support. So he needs to get off, get a move on, basically get a move on and get that money out before it's too late. That I can see a situation where it'll be too late. It'll be summertime before this money's out. No good then, I'm not too sure if Councillor Coyle had a proposal to write to the British government in hers, and I would suggest that we do that as well, because, as I said at the start, 17 million is derisory, and we need much, much more investment from the British government to tackle this issue. People here didn't have any involvement in the war in Iran. People here are mostly opposed to it, but people are paying the price for it. That's clear. People here are paying the price for Donald Trump and for Israel going in there and creating chaos, and it's not good enough. We need to have our government here in the north and the British government delivering real support for people here right now when it's needed. So I pose that we also write to the British government and make that clear to them that they need to up their game as well. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, normally the way I would handle it is I would ask Debbie if she's happy to incorporate in her proposal your suggestions. So that's agreed, proposed and seconded. And also the noting of the correspondence, I think both of you will be involved in that. I go now to Councillor Gannon.
Thank you, Chair. And firstly, just to acknowledge the fact that most taxation and fiscal powers do lie with the British government, and they haven't done enough. 17 million is not enough. I think if it was averaged out amongst everyone who used home heating oil, I think it was only coming to 20 or 30 pound per household, something like that, according to reporting. But, Chair, the NI executive response has been non-existent to this, really. You know, yes, the 17 million isn't much, but nothing's been done with it. They're just sitting on it. There doesn't even appear to be any noise in an attempt to get it out. And, you know, there are real steps that can be done without much funding necessarily to help people here. And real steps that the executive could do without the British government, and they should do. That's what devolution's about. You know, we see many times in Scotland where the likes of the SNP go a different way and do it very well. So some things that could be done, you know, the extension of rural fuel duty relief to areas such as this. I know it's only a small amount. I think it's 5p per litre, but still every little helps people at the minute, in particular those in agriculture who are probably using a lot more fuel than the normal person. And then in terms of the Warm Homes Funds, why aren't they trying to fast track that and try and get it out to help people save money? Yeah, we're coming into summer, but the scheme needs to be done, ready to go and be delivered during summer, so when we come to autumn and winter, people aren't hit as badly by the fuel bills during the cold months. I do appreciate the Infrastructure Minister announced frozen fares, but realistically, Translink's fares are so high that it's not worthwhile to use in many cases, even with increased fuel prices. There needs to be steps to reduce fares for those who can use it and where it's applicable. Not really as useful here, to be honest, but still something that could be done. And then another area that's not really talked about is community care, domiciliary care. Lots of driving. They're just one group, but there should be targeted support for groups such as that as well, Chair. And I think, you know, we've seen supports put in place in the south, and yes, people clearly aren't happy with the level of support that's been in the south, but it's a hell of a lot more than what's been done here. And the executive need to step up, and the British government as well need to step up here to try and do this. It's not good enough just to wash our hands of it here and just say, well, it's up to the British government, when there's real practical steps that can be taken here as well, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Donnelly.
Thank you very much, Chair. And likewise, I want to reiterate the concern that is felt widely about the increased pressure that many families are feeling at this time, particularly those who are from our agri-food sector. And indeed, we've seen that represented very strongly today by the significant presence in Omagh of those who came out to make their feelings known on this issue as a result of the insane machinations of the President of the United States with significant and detrimental consequences for our community. I think that it's important that whatever machinations that are available to us to be able to help mitigate those difficulties, that those are fully pursued, both at a local level and at Westminster. And if I could just maybe contribute a little bit to the amendment that was made by Councillor Brown. I'm aware that my own colleague at Westminster, Saoirse Eastwood MP, has been trying to secure cross-party unity around a key set of asks to the British government to help deal with the cost of living crisis here. And so if he would be amenable, and if the proposer would be amenable, I would suggest that we would specifically put in a request around the immediate reduction in fuel duty and ultimately the scrapping of the proposed increase that is in track, as well as requesting that consideration be given to removing VAT from home heating oil, agricultural diesel and general commercial use. as well as consideration being given to the funding of these measures through the application of a windfall tax on energy companies. I think that there would be recognition of the need for measures such as this, given the urgency of the issue that so many of our residents face. And if the members would be content, I think that that would be useful to put that on the record from Annanoma District Council.
Thank you. Stephen, I'll just take a nod from Debbie that you would include that specifically. I think that's what you're asking for, Stephen. And agreed. And Dermot similarly. Okay, I can anticipate that. The way I'm operating here, you know. And so the proposal and seconding has been agreed by all members as to that course of action. Thank you very much, members. So page 8 and page 9.
So, Chair, just on page 9, we have a couple of letters and members referenced some of these earlier as well. So firstly, in relation to, so this was in relation to care in the community. The first letter that we've received is from the Western Trust, but it actually relates to a related matter that we had discussed at the February meeting, which was around bed blocking. And then the second response is from the Justice Minister, and this related to the specific inquiry regarding the registration process against those, for those people who are providing care in the community. And in that regard, she has advised that it doesn't fall within the purview of the Home Office. It does fall within the purview of the Home Office as opposed to DOJ, but specifically in terms of employment direct payments, that would fall properly to the Department of Health and also the Western Trust. And we have written to both of those bodies.
Councillor Coyle.
Thanks, Chair. I'd like to make a comment on the lack of response really. The Western Trust didn't obviously maybe because I think we wrote to them, but they haven't responded on thing. Disappointing from the Minister of Justice, kind of just handed it over to somebody else. And the Home Office hasn't bothered answering, although I do believe that there might be some change in their original proposals. But I just wanted to say that a couple of weeks ago here in the Town Hall, I organised a meeting here with Unison Trades Union, and our MP, Pat Cullen, come to meet workers here, and over 40 workers turned up who are directly affected by the certificate of sponsorship. And many of them are working in the hospital and the different nursing homes and in other areas of work as well. So they're deeply affected by this moving of goalposts by the British government. They came here to work in good faith. They don't claim and cannot claim any benefits. They all work very, very hard. And in fact, now because they've increased the earnings that they have to make, now many of them have got back in contact with me to say that they have to work a minimum of 50 hours a week just to reach the threshold that the government is now saying that they need to work. They contribute the same as everybody else to our local economy. And yet they live at this moment in time in pure worry and fear regarding their future for themselves, their children, their homes, where many have sold land or homes in their country where they originate from, and they've settled here. They've got mortgages. And one family told us that evening that actually they have a child buried here in Enniskillen up in the graveyard, and what are they going to do? And your man was, nearly in tears. They had nearly everybody in tears, to be honest. So very disappointing that in a month we didn't get any kind of hope for them. But hopefully if the Home Office does answer, that at least the people that are already got that contract, that came here with that contract of 5 years, that they keep that, and they can, settle here and be happy, because at the minute it's causing a lot of problems for a lot of people here locally in Flanranoma.
Thank you, Debbie. And before I come to Councillor Gannon, can I just read out a response I got from the Western Health Trust when I made representations for a lady of African origin who lives in the Oma area, and I pointed out her case, anonymously at the meeting last month. So here was the response. I think it's really, really unbelievable. The Western Trust values the skills and expertise of our international staff. However, I would advise that the mandatory salary threshold set by the Home Office that can be considered for sponsorship under the health and care worker route is a minimum of £25,000 per annum. So the Trust cannot issue, can't, because the Home Office decrees it so, a certificate of sponsorship where the salary of the post does not meet this minimum threshold. So the person I was representing and advocating for, her experience would advise that this is in keeping with our nursing assistants Band 3 rules, where the starting salary is £24,937 per annum. So that's £63 short. And they're threatening to send her back. She has made her home here. Her children attend post-primary school here in this council area. And it says here, I appreciate that 24,937 is very close to the 25,000 threshold. But as a licensed sponsor, the Trust cannot deviate from the threshold set by the Home Office. And then it says the starting salary for our Band 4 roles is 27,485, and they need evidence that she's going to achieve that. So can you imagine a lady who's rooted in our community as well is going to be sent back, is going to be deported? Hopefully not. Hopefully not. That could be strong language in this matter. I hope it doesn't happen. But because she's £63 short of the requirement, and she's available to become a rural carer, right? So care in the community in rural County Tyrone, rural County Fermanagh. This lady is available with the necessary skills and doesn't meet the criteria. So I just wanted to cite that example of what you were talking about, Debbie, there. Thank you. Go now to Councillor Gannon.
Thank you, Chair, and just to echo those concerns around the plight faced by our international workers raised by Councillor Quayle and yourself, Chair, very well, and by the sense of that meeting was a very good meeting that he's had, and hopefully a result can come from that. And I was just thinking, Chair, when you give that example of the £63, if you average it across a year, I think it comes out to about 14p a day, which is, or maybe, yeah, about that. I need to check my maths, maybe less, maybe more. But anyway, Chair, what I wanted to raise, which is linked to this issue of discharge from hospitals, is that I've had a significant, a not insignificant number of people, I should say, number of people contact me regarding situation that has been faced, a common situation that's been faced at SWA by their relatives. And it's this idea that their relative, who in all these cases has been someone who's really vulnerable health-wise, some case open wounds and infection risks, have been moved out of rooms onto hallways. And at the same time, they have been told that the staff are very much pushing to say, you can discharge them, send them, take them home, and you can look after them, but there's no care plan in place, there's no care package available for them. And potentially, if they were given more time to recover, they might not need a care package in some cases, but in most cases they will. And this is a trend. Maybe it's not a trend. Maybe it's just a freak set of circumstances that's come all at once, or that has come across my knowledge all at once. But it's worrying that it seems that families are being encouraged to discharge and take a patient home who's still very vulnerable. And when they say no, the patient's then suddenly moved out of a room onto a corridor, and then a whole fuss has to be kicked up to get them back into the room. And on all those occasions when the complaints were made, they were moved back into a room very quickly. That would raise concerns of me that perhaps there is some sort of directive or something to say we need to encourage people to be discharged and looked after by family. And this happens in cases where sometimes there isn't anyone in the family who is available to look after. And in particular, this would be people with lots of high level of care and a lot of need that just couldn't be facilitated really by family members who have jobs and children and other people that they also care for. So, Chair, I'd like to propose that we write to the Trust to ask that they look into this matter and see if this is something that's happening. Now, it might be just fluke of circumstances with people emailing all at once and contacting me all at once. But it was enough that it flagged a serious concern. I wrote to the Trust myself recently and haven't got back, and to be fair, it was only very recently. But I think we as a council should raise that concern and say that if they could look into it for us and make sure this isn't something that's being done purposefully. Chair.
Thank you. So that's a proposal from yourself, Adam. I'll just look around the room if there's a seconder for that proposal. Okay, Councillor Deehan's next anyway, although I don't see her hand up, but in my screen. You know the way it comes up there as well. Okay, no problem. Councillor Deehan.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Chair. Well, I am happy.
Okay. Happy to second that. Aye. No. So-
You've lost the screen. If you want to get a seconder just in the chamber.
Aye, okay. I'd be happy to take a seconder in the chamber for that proposal, by the way, if I could. Just glance around the room. Councillor O'Reilly, thank you. Is Councillor Deehan on your screen still?
She's put her pictures on. So what's it? Oh, you're.
Sure. Not enough of my end. You do make a mess. You don't give it. You don't. I think Councillor Deehan appeared there with not her camera either. No signal, it says. It's very sensitive or something there, that it's not been touched.
Okay, we've lost. I'd say we've just lost Councillor Deehan.
Okay, I'll just check if Councillor Deehan is still there. Just to bring Councillor Deehan back into the meeting. Okay, go now to Councillor Campbell.
I've got a Caherly, well, Chairman. The scenario that you've discussed, and we've heard it previously. I've heard it previously from yourself. It is shocking, really, and I suppose it's another example of the malign influence that the British government via the Home Office is having, and probably a lot of people don't realise that we have a scenario where we're crying out for domiciliary carers. We have people there actually doing the job, and this sort of madness threatens not just their continuation of that role, but also their sort of threatens them with deportation. And I suppose we wait the response of the Home Office to get back. But I suspect this sort of stuff's happening across in fact, I know that within the engineering sector, there's a difficulty getting people sort of cleared to work here. So to do roles such as, fitting, spraying, those type of roles, welding, so that there are people that are being blocked, that is causing a real concern for some of the engineering firms as well. So maybe when the Home Office do get back, presuming they do get back, we could follow up on that. Just what are the barriers to providing some sort of security to those who contribute valuably in fields such as health and engineering. Thank you, Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Campbell? Okay, I'll look to online and I'll look to the chamber here. No further speakers, so is there action in there? Okay. Okay, everything's captured, that's great. So page 8 and page 9. Mark, you want to say something at this juncture?
Sorry, Chair, it's just a declaration on that letter, the new
No
letter.
problem. Thanks a million. 8 and 9, page 10, page 11, page 12.
Page 12, Chair.
Okay. Councillor Hayes is going to be first in.
Okay, so Chair, just then to highlight for members, we've 3 letters here. Firstly, from the Western Trust, sorry, beg your pardon. First from the Minister in relation to the funding of general practice and welcoming the Council's recognition of the importance of this discipline. We then have a response from Lisnaskea Health and Care Centre, included within which members there are a few asks as well in terms of seeking Council support and also a willingness, as has been referenced earlier, for a meeting with the Council. And finally, a letter from the Minister which really identifies or I suppose clarifies the respective roles of the various health bodies in Northern Ireland following discussion at our last meeting.
Okay. Thank you. Councillor Hayes.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I just wanted to reference the Minister's letter. I know it was predominantly dealing with the GPs and the request that we put in last month, but it also mentions that the department had put investment of 11.7 million in the doctors and dentist review body. And I just wanted to raise a point that the last dentist in Lisnaskea is now, from August this year, no longer taking any NHS patients, which means there is no NHS dentist in Lisnaskea. Now, I know this is a problem across the district, and I had a lady speak to me today who's a pensioner, and she said to me, my pension credit entitles me to free NHS dental care, but she can't get it. She doesn't drive. She can't go anywhere else, and she would have to pay private, which, as you can imagine, the fees are triple or quadruple what the NHS was. So I just would like to propose if we could write to the Minister and ask of some sort of breakdown of how that investment is helping dentists here in this district, because it doesn't seem to be filtering through, or it isn't enough, because I know dentists at the moment don't make, if any, profit, just cost to do NHS treatment. So I think that should be looked into. And maybe, and I haven't looked into this, is there a dentist association or something we could write to get their view on it? And, because, dental work, everybody needs dental work, and and it's expensive on the NHS as it is. But if you're entitled to free NHS care and you can't get any NHS care for dental care, then that's no good to anybody. So I just wanted to propose that, if possible, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Now I'm going to go to Councillor Riley next, followed by Councillor Deehan. And apologies to Councillor Deehan for that IT glitch earlier, but I'll be coming to you very shortly. Josephine, coming to Councillor Riley next.
Thank you, Chair. First of all, I'm happy to second Nolene's proposals there that we seek some clarification there around the dentistry or the lack of NHS dentistry in Fermanagh, and particularly to the Erne East area there, where the last NHS dentist in the town is going to go private. And certainly this is detriment to all of our citizens. So it's in everybody's interest that we find out what the Minister can do to intervene here and to be able to provide the avenues that people can use the NHS that is there to be used in times when they need it on all fronts. So that's one thing, Chair. The second thing then is the letter of clarification of the various roles of the different agencies insofar as the Lisnaskea Health Centre is concerned. I'm sorely disappointed, Chair, that it has taken us a year practically to get to the point where I have asked on numerous occasions for a response back from the Minister as to what the plan was. Then it was passed that we got written correspondence to say that it was the Western Trust job to do it. Then from the Western Trust, we've got that it was the SPPG, and now we are informed that it's the group MIC or whatever it's called that actually is overseeing the practice to do it. So we have got some follow-up information now, giving us some numbers that's moving across, and that's good to see. It's good to see the health centre moving to a completion build-wise, but I'm still on the point, Chair, that we are not clear as to the full staffing complement. It's okay to hear that we have 10 GPs and possibly another coming online when the post, hopefully, that's advertised will be filled. What I'm looking for, Chair, is to understand out of those 10 or 11 GPs, how many hours per week is being dedicated to the Lisnaskea surgery by each of those GPs, so that we have a more clearer understanding of the level of service for 15,000 patients that's sitting there. Chair, it is in that vein that I find it that, and I keep coming back to this, that we really must challenge when local government is not being given accurate information and that we're being conditioned into just accepting. We have to stand up and say this is not acceptable. It shouldn't be that a minister's office is writing out to us and telling us it's one agency that has a remit in the whatever the issue is, and finding out that they're totally wrong and they haven't got that remit at all. So, Chair, I don't know what we can do there. If you just indulge me 1 second, Chair, it is another example of this is, and it's this reduction in the ability of local government to do its primary function, and that is to represent the people. We find now that elected representatives can't speak to member or staff members of the trust. They must put all their queries through Madonna in the Chief Executive's office. I had a case where I represented a lady looking to speak to a social worker. I rang and spoke to a social worker. She says, sorry, Tom, can't speak to you. You have to put that through Madonna. I subsequently did that, and the lady in question rang the social worker herself, got the information that she required, and I'm still waiting, despite having checked with Madonna, a response through Madonna's office. And that is, and let me clearly state, Chair, this is not any criticism on Madonna at all, who does a superb job. But it's pointing that we, it's just getting farcical how our representation is being undermined. Another example of that is that I did a witness for a firearms certificate on the 19th of October, and the farmer in question asked me, it was a renewal of a gun license. He asked me, never heard anything, and this was about a week ago, never heard anything about that license. Can you check it? I checked. You can't speak to the firearms branch, but you can email them. And when I emailed them, they said, sorry, but unless your application has been in for 6 months, we don't even talk to you. Now, all of that there, Chair, with all of the other things that I've raised in this chamber about the sort of reduction in our ability as local government to perform our duties, and we really need to challenge this. We had this centralisation of all services that took away from the local area our ability to contact a named person in any of these services, and now we're having the cut out of our elected representatives in being able to represent the people. So, Chair, we really need to do something.
Definitely a wider point there.
Some advice as to how we take that forward.
And maybe that should be taken up at an incoming committee meeting, that theme of democratic representation and how it's been frustrated, how it's been thwarted across the departments. That's really what you're saying. You're constantly giving examples of that you face. So it's something that maybe a P&R meeting would address or something like that, Alison?
Certainly, Chair, we can. I suppose just maybe, and Councillor Riley, because of the range of areas he's referenced there, I know specific on health matters, we have been in contact with NILGA, and I know NILGA are actually engaged really across the departments. I don't think they're also getting maybe much headway, but we can certainly maybe get an update from them as well and happily report through. I think I would only say, as an observation, I imagine things will not improve between now and the election, but I think at least if we flag the matters as has been referenced this evening, and certainly we can report back and see what scope might exist, even working with a number of councils.
Some bodies, public bodies and semi-public bodies, have given us elected representatives hotline numbers, and then in quite banal fashion, this is not operating at this time. So the like of that is not acceptable. But I want to go to Councillor Deehan now, maybe return specifically to the health theme. Thank you, Councillor Deehan.
Thank you, Chair, and I hope that you were able to hear me seconding Councillor Gannon's proposal earlier. I don't know at what stage I was cut off. But anyway, on to this agenda item, Chair, I do want to support Councillor Hayes' proposal regarding the provision of general dental services in our council area and indeed throughout Northern Ireland. And I do think it's important that we should highlight our concerns to the Minister and also to the British Dental Association, and really to get their take really on what needs to improve in order to ensure that our residents have adequate dental care. In my view, Chair, what has happened in the dental profession is a result of many years of underinvestment in general dental services. As Councillor Hayes has said, for dentists to treat NHS patients, they don't make any profit. In fact, they may do it at a loss because of the increased cost of materials and so on. So it really is a difficult situation. And in our district council area, we are in the unenviable position of having one of the highest rates of dental decay, including dental decay in children in the whole of Northern Ireland. So urgent action needs. But I really wanted to comment on the Minister's letter in respect of funding for general practice. I'll try to be as brief as possible, Chair. Well, I certainly do welcome the Minister's commitment to the sustainability of general practice. But I would disagree with the tone of the letter, which suggests that he has adequately provided funding for general practice. Members may be aware that the 2025-26 contract was not accepted by the BMA General Practice Committee, and in fact we are in dispute with the department over that settlement. We asked for a significant increase in investment and it wasn't forthcoming. In relation, that contract was imposed on us, Chair. We had to accept it. We were given no option. So we are officially in dispute with the department over the 25-26 contract. Secondly, in respect of the transformation of the MDTs, that is transformation money, Chair. It is not Department of Health money. And that money in the investment of multidisciplinary teams is really important. But I would ask the Minister to put Department of Health money into general practice in addition to the transformation money. Finally then, Chair, the Minister in his letter refers to re-evaluate, redefine the role of general practice. But what I can tell you, Chair, is that general practitioners have a very unique role in providing holistic care, in providing continuity of care from generation to generation. It's a very unique role. And the concern within our profession in terms of the rollout of the neighbourhood model is that that very key and distinctive role will be lost. So, I think we still need to be concerned about the future of general practice because it is going the same way as general dental practice. We need investment in general practice, and we need it fast. So can I propose that we do write back to Minister Nisbet, thanking him for his letter, but really urging him to look at the finances again and see what he can come up with. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, I'll just look to perhaps Nolene for reciprocal seconding. I think she's agreeable to do that. Thank you. Now you need to go to John Feely, Councillor John Feely.
Thanks, Chair. I just want to speak on the first letter there too about general practice, and like Councillor Dean, I want to welcome the Minister's commitment to ensuring the sustainability in the future. And if you read his letter, everything's rosy in the garden of general practice. It's not what people on the ground is doing. It would be remiss of me not to mention the recent withdrawal of midwifery, dentistry and chiropody services from the Rathmore Health Centre in Balleek. And as everyone knows, Balleek is a very out-of-the-way place compared to other parts. So people who use these services are now going to have to face long journey times and stuff. And as such, I want to make a proposal that this council writes to the Minister and asks him to get his department to consider the reinstatement of midwifery, chiropody and dentistry services at the health centre in Balleek as a matter of urgency.
Okay, and the name of that health centre, John?
Rathmore Health Centre.
Thank you. 3 services you referred to there.
Yes.
Okay, go now to Councillor Barton.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, my question was actually something similar to what Councillor O'Reilly had asked. It was in relation to the 10 GPs that are at the moment in Lisnaskea. Are those 10 GPs in 1 day a week? Are those 10 GPs full day working 5 days a week? I'd like a little bit of clarity on that. So that's the first thing. The second thing is in relation to domiciliary care. And it's a letter that came from the Chief Executive in relation to Mr. McGuckian. He did suggest that he didn't think there was a problem with the 4th shift in domiciliary care. He seen no problem. I can assure him, I could send him a number of people that are having difficulty getting that 4th slot late in the evening, 9:30, when people need to go to bed. So there is a problem, and I think we need to make that loud and clear to the new Chief Executive or whoever that that slot is very, very difficult to fill at these times. And the last thing is relation to health centres again. Seems to have been a change of policy of recent in relation to patients having to have bloods taken. If a GP requests bloods taken, they are taken in the health centres. Sometimes if a person has been in hospital and they are recuperating at home and they're asked to go and have bloods taken to perhaps understand how progression they're making, those bloods, they have to go actually now to a hospital to have those taken. They cannot go to their local health centre. And I think that's something that we need to look at further too. After all, we are a rural district council area, and from Kesh to Enniskillen's not beside you. From Balleek to Enniskillen, it's certainly not beside you. And I think that's something that we need to be investigating a bit further.
Okay.
And asking questions over.
Thank you, Rosemary. Okay. We see I have other indications here. Councillor Feely. Anthony.
Thanks, Chair. Yeah, no, I just want to second John's proposal there about the withdrawing of themselves from Balleek Health Centre. It wouldn't just be affecting people around Balleek, the garrison people that's also used the Balleek Health Centre, so I'm very supportive of that proposal. Thank you.
Thanks. And Councillor Roof.
Thanks, Chair. Just to provide some context for Councillor Barton's query regarding the bloods. That is the case at the minute. That any bloods that are being requested by hospital are being refused for the most part by GPs. It's part of their ongoing strike and reduction of service due to their confrontation, we should say, with the Department of Health over their contract. It's regrettable. It's very difficult for patients, particularly in a rural area. But that should hopefully provide some context as to why that is the case at the minute. It should not hopefully be a long-term thing. But Councillor Barton might want to put a bit of pressure on our own party members, and maybe the Department of Health can come to some sort of arrangement.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Roof? Okay, there isn't any action.
No, Chair, but maybe just for clarification, just from Councillor Hayes. So there is a representative body of dentists, which be the British Dental Association Northern Ireland branch. There is also the Chief Dental Officer who would work within the Department of Health and is someone we haven't engaged with previously. So maybe worth certainly inviting both, albeit it may be separate engagements.
Chair, yeah, thank you for that, Alison. I appreciate. Yeah, I think that would be a good idea to write to both of those associations along with the Minister. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll return now to the agenda then, and I think that was page 14 we're at now, and 15.
And thank you, Chair. Just on the bottom of page 14 into page 15, again, we have a number of items of correspondence. This related to contentious flags. So firstly, from the Police Service of Northern Ireland setting out their arrangements and understanding in terms of the new practice, together with a willingness to engage in a meeting with the Council. Secondly, we have a response from the Minister in relation to what constitutes, I suppose, an offence in terms of the roads order, and confirming that priority is given to flags, bunting or similar which are causing road safety concern. And then finally, a letter from the Executive Office. And again, just to clarify, Chair, this was discussed, this was an action from our January meeting, and it related to the FICT report. We had sought an update in relation to that. And really what the letter is saying is that there is now an acknowledgement of the direct link between it and the good relations that's TBUC Together Building United Community strategy, and as that work is now undergoing review.
Thank you. Go now to Councillor Ovens. I know he wanted in earlier.
Yes, Chair. I'm sorry, it's me again. Can I declare all them invites and letters that were discussed previously? And I'm sure, Chair, there probably is a better way for me to do this rather than come in after every letter, but it's something we'll look at perhaps. So.
Okay, thanks, Mark. I'll just maybe ask you to repeat that again. Pull the mic towards you, Mark, in that case.
Sorry, Chair, it was just a declaration of interest in all the invites and letters and whatnot.
Thank you. Councillor Warrington.
Thank you, Chair. Look, at every time the issue of flags is raised, we are fed the same predictable one-sided outrage, carefully directed and highly selective, and utterly lacking in consistency. On Easter Saturday, I was in Lisnaskea at a function, and I witnessed a group of youths openly erecting the Republic of Ireland tricolour on DFI property. It wasn't accidental. It was a clear breach of the law, and yet not a single word of condemnation from those who are usually the first in line to lecture everyone else. It exposes a blatant double standard where illegality is ignored, excused or quietly tolerated as long as it fits a particular narrative. People see through this. They are tired of being told of one set of rules for them and another set for somebody else. Let's strip this back to reality. Erecting flags in this manner is not about culture, it is about marking territory, and in many cases intimidating local people. Dressing it up as something else is dishonest. But here's the truth that some clearly don't want to confront, no matter how many tricolours are erected, no matter how many attempts are made to create a false sense of dominance. It does not and will not change the Constitution reality. Northern Ireland remains a part of the United Kingdom. It is governed under the authority of the British monarchy, and the Union flag is the sovereign flag of this country. No amount of posturing, provocation or illegal activity will change that, no matter how much some might wish otherwise. Can I propose this correspondence? Or am I too soon to do that?
The
But
noting of the correspondence, no problem.
and I also want to propose that we write to the Minister to seek clarity as to whether recent Sinn Féin Easter banners that had various Sinn Féin councillors promoting, whether she deems those as illegal. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Easter banners, are they illegal? We'll go now to Councillor Brown. He might disagree with you.
Yeah, Chair. Do you know, the contribution that we just heard there really doesn't help the situation. You know, we're trying to get to a situation where we take the tension out of flags, and we have a agreed protocol which benefits all sections of the community, where people can express their identity without impacting on other people, and that's just what we want to see. You know, we heard a one-sided diatribe there. You know, let's talk about the tricolour. Whenever unionism faces up to the fact that it's the Union Jack that proliferated in our lampposts illegally throughout the entire year. You know, you might see a tricolour during Easter week, but it'll be down very soon after that. Let's see the Union Jack down at the same time. So moving on from that anyway, because I don't think that's a helpful conversation. I did meet with the police on this matter very recently to try and get a solution, not to try and finger point. And I was disappointed. I came away from that meeting feeling that the approach from the PSNI is not going to be significantly different from the approach which has been up until now. So I would welcome a meeting with the police and wider partners like the road service to actually come up with some sort of a solution, you know. But if we're going to go for this solution, we're going to have to leave the nonsense at the door before we go in and face up that it's an issue which is going to require working together, not finger pointing. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Little.
Thank you, Chair. I welcome this correspondence from the Minister. I welcome the clarifications on contentious and illegal flags in Bunton. It is my sincere hope that this correspondence can be a catalyst for change. This correspondence clearly stipulates that Article 87 of the Roads Order NI does not contain within it a provision for consenting to or authorising the erection of flags and bunting on DFI property, which means the erection of flags and banners on DFI property is illegal. That means that flags and bunting flying outside the bus depot in Omagh, outside Southwest College in Omagh, and outside the community centre in Omagh are illegal. Those erecting these flags are committing a criminal offence. This is the reality. We cannot afford for a blind eye to be turned to this criminal behaviour any longer. We need to see action. And again, I would repeat the call. We need to see a new approach to flags in Omagh Town and across this district.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Little. Councillor Gannon.
Thank you, Chair. Firstly, to address the correspondence, it's the typical response. It's a bit pathetic, really. That's passing the buck. It's up to them. No, it's up to them. We talk to such and such, and we talk to such and such. And it's probably the reality of the legislation at the moment that we have this area where no one wants to touch it, and there's kind of excuses being made to not do anything. And it's very clear from some of what's been said in the chamber tonight and in previous nights that something does need to be done about this. It does cause emotion and hurt quite often, and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes flags go up for a period of time and come down fairly quickly, and everyone accepts it. Even though, I suppose, legally speaking, any flag on the lamppost is illegally erected, even if it's for a day or a week or whatever, no matter what the flag, Chair. And just to go to Councillor Warrington's contribution there, you know, he kind of did everything that he was saying others were doing, talking about double standards and allowing illegality, whereas he's doing the same. You know, it's it was just, it's just such a case of whataboutery that we don't need. That the people are just fed up of that dinosaur mindset that, oh, we can do this because someone else did that, or, oh, don't worry about us, look at the boy over there doing whatever. It's a joke, really, Chair. And I think wider society does understand that we, and wider society here, do tolerate flags, but it's about doing it the right way, and there needs to be a legislative response to this. And just to say, I think there's examples where flags are done reasonably well, where they're put up for a short period and taken down. I think the example I actually gave was the Apprentice boys in Enniskillen. Put them up, all came down, and it was a really, it was, and people were worried about it, they wouldn't come down, and they did, and that's how to do it right. You know, period of time, take it down. Well, that's even bunting or flags for a football match. It's the same thing, really, Chair. So look, we need to seriously move forward from that sort of, you know, whataboutery attitude. It's completely a relic of the past, and there does need to be a serious attempt and a legislative attempt. And I do see Councillor Donnelly indicating to come in, and I'm sure he will make the point around Alliance's proposals, which I've already said before, probably would be excellent at solving the issue, Chair.
Okay, you're able to anticipate the future, which is a wonderful thing. Okay, but I'll go to Councillor Deehan first, then Councillor Donnelly.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, yes, absolutely agree that we need to get the whole issue of contentious flags addressed. I do think that it marks out territory, and I do think that national flags are misused in a lot of circumstances. And I agree that where flags are put up for certain community events like the 12th of July or Easter Sunday, that they should be taken down as a matter of priority. You know, a major challenge for our society is reconciliation, breaking down barriers, helping us all to live together as one community. And heavens knows, Chair, we have so many challenges in meeting the rising cost of living and all other concerns in terms of geopolitics throughout the world, that we really do need to get our own place sorted pretty quickly. And the issue of contentious flags really needs to be addressed. So I would be supportive. I would welcome the letter from the Minister, but I would be supportive of meeting with the PSNI, just really to get their views on how we can address this issue as a matter of urgency, but also in a sensitive manner, which respects all cultures and all traditions, Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much, Josephine. I go now to Councillor Stephen Donnelly.
Thank you very much, Chair. And as Councillor Gannon alluded to, Alliance has been very strong in bringing forward proposals to try and have this dealt with in a more strategic, thoughtful and consistent way. But we are obviously where we are right now, and we have to try and find a solution somewhere between the respective authorities of DFI, PSNI and ourselves as a council authority. I think Councillor Warrington's contribution was disappointing, because I think that it is worth reflecting on the fact that whenever we come into this chamber with stories about constituents who live in anxiety, who live in worry about the fact that they see the community that they live in, the shared space that they inhabit, being abused by the proliferation of flags, which, as we can see confirmed in these letters, is an illegal activity. That's not something that's being made up. It's not fictional. It is real lived experience that is being communicated to us as elected representatives, and it is a dereliction of duty every single time that a councillor seeks to ignore that lived experience and refuses to act on it. And it's shameful because whenever those lived experiences have been brought to the fore, and I can think of one example of a household in Omagh who has expressed to me the fact that this kind of activity has inhibited her in terms of the fact that she tries to run a cross-community business out of her household. and she feels compromised by the fact that this activity goes on. Whenever I brought forward proposals to deal with particular situations like that, consistently the unionist parties in this chamber have voted that down. And I think that that's just a dereliction of duty. And on the last occasion, whenever I brought forward a similar proposal like that, I issued the challenge, and I think it was particularly to Councillor Warrington, that if he could think of a particular situation of an Irish tricolour or any other banner or flag or whatever being erected in an area on a public lamppost illegally, then he should bring that as a proposal, and I would second that and I would support that. Now, I didn't catch exactly where he referred to, but if he is talking about a specific example of flags being legally erected in his DEA, then I would be encouraging him tonight to propose that we write to DFI to seek the removal of those flags. And if he does that, I will second that right now. Because as far as the Alliance Party is concerned, there is nothing one-sided about the need to build a united and shared community. And if Councillor Warrington is unwilling to do that, then I think the only reasonable conclusion is that everything he said in his opening remarks is simply a smokescreen and an excuse to do absolutely nothing about flags in our society at all. I'll leave it at that, Chair.
Yeah, thank you very much, Chair. Well, I think Councillor Brown referred to it was a sad discussion or sad debate. It is a sad one, actually. We keep going around and dealing with this several times in the year. Just with regard to what he said, there were no flags. I drive across this district and the flags everywhere. And there are Irish tricolours flying and other Republican flags. Since I've been a young man, I have worked to bring peace, stability and respect right across this district, and that's what I try to do. Councillor Eddie Roof referred to Enniskillen, I think it was Councillor Gannon actually, referred to Enniskillen and the Apprentice Boys Parade, which takes place in a different venue every year. And that took place here in Enniskillen in 2024, Easter Monday 2024. At that time, I was the chairman of the South West Ulster Amalgamated Committee of the Apprentice Boys. And I made sure that those flags were not flying in rags and they were took down at an appropriate time. So that did happen. I disagree totally with any flag, no matter what flag it is, flying in rags. If you're going to fly a flag, fly it with respect and respect for others around you. And that's my stance on it, and hopefully that's my party stance on it as well. So to say that Councillor Brown referred to there were no flags, that is incorrect. There are flags flying right across this district that may be controversial to some and not controversial to others. That's where we are. We have to learn to respect difference. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. And I suppose it's a case it's deja vu. We've listened to this time and time again over the years. Any of us have been in the council for longer than we care to remember. This issue continuously come up. I think the council came up with the best idea that no flags on any buildings or any council property is the right way to go. I would fully support that as a compromise, that we just stop putting flags up. I see a Soldier F flag still up in Enniskillen after I don't know how long. Now, I don't really think at this stage they're supporting Soldier F. It's more to just antagonise people, you know. So that's the mentality. So I think there should be zero tolerance on flags going up. That's the compromise. I don't know why people can't support that. Now, Victor has got a bit of a touch there tonight, and not from me as of yet. But I am going to maybe compare him to somebody that he probably, just like myself, has never been compared to before, Brad Pitt.
There's an old saying that if you have now I'm slightly exaggerating the saying, but there's an old saying, if you have the same views when you're 60 as you had when you were 20, you've wasted 40 years of your life. Well, Victor reminds me of a character Brad Pitt played in the film. It's called The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. And it basically shows somebody being born old and growing young. So I think that's the way Victor's attitudes has. They're becoming more hardline as the time goes on. So maybe Victor is from Annanoma District Council's version of Benjamin Button.
Thanks very much, Seamus. Councillor John McLaughlin.
Thank you, Chair. Yet again, we're back discussing flags and emblems and people getting upset. The Executive Office has been sitting for years on a report on the way ahead for the whole of Northern Ireland. We haven't got there. This council ran, during the last mandate, ran good relations. And one of the topics was the flying of flags and emblems. Counting your one hand, the amount of councillors turned up for the one in Enniskillen, and it was ran over 2 or 3 nights. There was lots of food for those that turned up. Rodney would have loved that, but that event was ran. Nobody bothered coming to it, and we had good, frank discussions about the problems. I myself take a similar view to Earl. I don't think flags belong on lampposts. I think they should be flown with dignity, and they should be taken down at night and put back up again in the morning. And those that have the time to take them, put them up, should have the time to take them down as well and show them some respect. That's my own personal view. But I'm going to second Victor's proposal that we do write to the Minister to find out what is illegal. And also I'd like to amend it slightly, Victor. I wanted to find out what actions the DFI are going to take in the forthcoming period for the removal of illegal flags. Ultimately, I believe there should be some form of licensing to allow bunting and flags to be put up for events. But after that licence has expired, they should be taken down, and I don't think the licence should be for any prolonged period of time.
Okay, so I think we've heard from everybody who wanted to contribute to that discussion. If there are any councillors online whose hand remains up, maybe they could take the hand down, please. And I just want to commend myself. I've listened carefully. There. The Greencastle Community Flag Initiative. There's an initiative was taken in Mid-Tyrone and Greencastle. The late Oliver McCullough and others were involved in taking this forward. And Greencastle is an area where you would expect the Irish national flag to fly as distinct from the Union flag, given the composition of that area and its character. And at Greencastle Crossroads, the rules of the flag are explained in a nice plaque, and that's where it tended to fly on set days in the year. And I remember people promoting that initiative, and it certainly had a good effect, good impact on the community, because if it was put up, for example, say on the Thursday before the Easter, it may be taken down about Easter Monday or Easter Tuesday, that type of thing. So speaking personally from past experience of this, I want to commend those who were involved in taking forward the Greencastle Flag Initiative. We all come from different perspectives on this, but I thought that was very tasteful and very, very respectful in the way that anybody would want any flag to be honoured. So I'll just check with yourself, Alison, if there's any actions contained therein.
Sorry, Chair, we had the proposal for noting of the various letters from Councillor Warrington, seconded by Councillor McClaughry, together with the proposal that then we write back to the DFI Minister seeking clarification regarding the display of Easter banners with Sinn Féin members and to seek if these were illegal, and also then the clarification from the department as to what methods they're going to employ to remove illegal flags from DFI-owned infrastructure.
Okay. Was that proposed and seconded? Yes. Okay. So, is that agreed, members? Is that agreed? Okay, I'm anticipating agreement throughout the room. Okay, that's agreed. Thank you. So, that was page 14 and 15, wasn't it? Yes. Or about 16 now. 17. 18. What way are you there?
Yeah.
Alison?
Sorry, Chair, just neglected at the bottom of page 15, we did have a response in relation to the digital ID cards. So this is from the Parliamentary Undersecretary of the Cabinet Office. So it was to clarify that the government announced there will be no legal obligation regarding the digital ID cards, but there is a current consultation underway, closing on the 5th of May, about the design of the digital ID system, which people are encouraged to respond to. So just really for noting, Chair.
Okay, I'd like somebody to propose the noting of that. Councillor Roof, thanks very much for that. And a seconder for the noting, Councillor McColgan, thank you. And that's agreed, members. So we move on to item 5 here, and it'll be for accuracy initially, and that'll be 24 pages of the Planning Committee held on the 18th of February. So we'll go through that quickly for accuracy, and then a proposer and seconder, please. And I would look to Councillor Campbell for proposal if he's so inclined. So page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4 and page 5, 6 and 7, 8 and 9, 10 and 11, 12 and 13, 14 and 15, 16 and 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23 and 24. Councillor Campbell, are you of a mind?
Yeah, happy to propose, Chairman.
Okay, and I'll look for a seconder there. Councillor Thompson, thanks very much. Okay, and that's agreed, members. So matters arising then, page 1, page 2, page 3, 4 and 5, 6 and 7, 8 and 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. Okay, so that's that. Moving on now to the next item on our agenda, that'll be item 7. And maybe at the outset, Alison, you would help us to understand how we would deal with, for example, motions were deferred to that committee, you know.
Yes, Chair, certainly. We do have a couple of items of correspondence. So we'll just deal with them as matters arising in the usual way when we get to that part of the agenda.
That's great. So again, Nolene's the chair of that committee, and we'll look to you, Nolene, for the proposal. So go to page 1, page 2, page 3. This is for accuracy only. 4 and 5, 6 and 7, 8 and 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15.
Happy to propose, Chair.
Okay, thanks very much for that, Nolene. I'll look around the room then or online for a seconder. Okay, Councillor Hawkes, thanks very much. Seconded. So that was that. Now we're still at that committee, but this time matters arising. So page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4, page 5, page 6, page 7, page 8, page... Councillor Donnelly?
Thanks, Chair. It's just on a procedural point. Just obviously we had a situation the last month where we had a significant number of motions that had to be deferred to committees. Just in a situation where there was a wish to bring a motion forward to a committee. Obviously in this situation, those motions were only being deferred because they couldn't be completed at the full council meeting. But if somebody wanted to bring a motion straight to a committee, would both proposer and seconder have to be members of that committee?
No, Chair. So I suppose the important piece for inclusion on the council agenda, we are required to know the proposer and seconder. And actually, for inclusion on the agenda itself, the identity of the proposer and seconder can in fact change at the meeting. It's to get it on the paper. So if there wouldn't be a requirement. However, if there was a scenario where both for example, the proposer and seconder, or only one of them was a member of the committee, then speaking rights would be granted to that member to be able to contribute fully at the meeting.
Speaking rights, but not voting rights.
That's correct, Chair.
Councillor McCloughlin.
Chair, it's page 9, if you're happy.
Okay, go ahead, John.
Chair, well, I don't want to go into the intricacies of the motion, and nor do I want to stumble across what we discussed in confidential then after that. Anybody who's been following the local press will see that there's major concern within the village of Kesh around the green areas. It's, as it is, it used to be a football field, but it's definitely just a green area now. I'm just wondering if we have any updates. It was proposed that there would be a public meeting where they would actually be informed of to what was going on and what the proposals were, when that would happen, and is this decision final, or can it still be reversed? And that's basically the questions I've been asked. When will there be a public meeting, and can this decision be reversed?
Okay, thank you, John.
Okay, Chair, just in relation to the now, it may be that when we're coming into confidential minutes, there was an action associated with this, so I think that would be the appropriate element. But certainly, all that we have within these minutes is that the motion was defeated, and then we obviously have the further discussion. And I'm happy to provide an update in confidential, and then if we could do a summary at the end of the meeting as to what that relates to, if members are okay.
Okay, looking around the room. Okay. Do we need? Does that be that? Okay. Okay. So that was page 9, page 10, page 11.
So, Chair, just in relation to the motion on International Women's Day, we have 2 items of correspondence. The first from the Department of Education, and that's in relation to the childcare strategy in particular. And the Minister has set out both his timescales and commitments to that. And secondly, we have a response from the Department for Communities in relation to support for unpaid carers, which was also an element of the motion, with the Minister acknowledging that the carers allowance was really just about providing
what we asked was, what can the department do to help people who are unpaid carers? We already know the carers allowance is very minimal, works out a couple of pounds an hour. And he actually puts in the letter that it's for those who give up full-time employment, and then goes on to say in the next sentence that it's not to replace lost or foregone earnings. So, you know, I don't know whether that was supposed to be funny, but it's not. So what we asked for, what support can they give to unpaid carers? Because whether I know we can't change carers allowance, that's probably a Westminster thing, but you know, these people, family members, loved ones, and I know, you know, we all look after our loved ones, we don't expect to get paid, but they are losing a wage to be able to do it. And, you know, £2 or £3 an hour is just not enough. So it's what can they offer to support? Is there, you know, reductions on stuff? You know, there's got to be something that they can offer, you know, grants for them or whatever. It's what they can do, not what that they're just getting from the government anyway. And say one thing in half a sentence and then totally contradict it in the next sentence. And yeah, that's it. I mean, they're just disappointing responses, really, and it's really not helpful for all the carers that we've got here. And we were discussing earlier about, you know, there's not enough carers, and that's why you know, people were just not respected for that type of work. And if we could write to the trust around carers, and I know it came up in the letter earlier, but the letter earlier quite clearly stated from the trust that patients are delayed in the hospital because there's an inability to source a home care package. Northwest Care left our council area back in August, and they're only now putting out a tender process for independent domiciliary care provision. So why can they not employ in-house? Why are the trust not employing more domiciliary care provision and you know, helping people get out of hospital? And I just want to, I can't sit here and just say nothing and I will declare an interest, I suppose, because I work for the trust, but I have to actually, you know, when patients go out on the corridor, they're not being put out there because we're trying to get rid of them. I just think that was a very unhelpful comment to make. The nurses have to make very, very difficult decisions. And just as an example, on my ward where I work on the respiratory ward. So if a patient is in A&E and needs oxygen and we don't have a bed, then whoever is in a bedroom who isn't on oxygen may be asked to go out onto the corridor so the person that needs oxygen can go in and get it. And that's the type of decisions, hard decisions, our staff have to make every single day and every single night. It's not a plan. Our hospitals are just full up. So I just want to put that on because there's not a plan to get rid of people. But my actual thing is about the carers. If we can write to the trust about that, please. Thanks, Chair.
Okay, thanks very much. Councillor Hayes.
Thank you, Chair. Just to echo Councillor Coyle's comments over the carers, and I'm happy to second the noting of them letters if that's okay.
Okay, thanks very much.
Okay,
that's very good.
Chair.
Councillor Gannon.
Yes, Chair, just to acknowledge the points made by Councillor Coyle there, she is very correct in what she's saying in terms of sometimes there is very difficult decisions that have to be made in healthcare scenarios, and I don't doubt that. In this occasion, it was just because of such a high prevalence that I'd received in a short time frame. Just to look into it, perhaps there's some other remedial measure that the trust could do to resolve it, and there is no intention there at all from in terms of discharging people. Just to acknowledge that point that Councillor Coyle is very correct. I'm sure that in many cases where someone has to be moved, it's because of a real medical need. But again, Chair, I just felt I should raise that tonight because it was raised with me by a number of people.
Councillor Evans.
Thank you, Chair. It's declaration on yet another letter tonight. So
yep.
Thank you.
Councillor Hayes, briefly.
Sorry, Chair. I meant to say I also second Councillor Coyle's proposal to write to the minister. I forgot to say that as well. Sorry.
Okay, so that's proposed and seconded now and agreed, members. Okay. Moving on. I think we were at page 12 or 13 there, were we? 13 and page 14 and Councillor Gannon.
Just at the bottom of page 14, Chair, on terms of the streetlights in Derrygonnelly, firstly, just to thank Councillor Hayes for letting me in when she was chairing that the night. It was much appreciated by myself and by people in Derrygonnelly that it was raised in the chamber. Just a point, Chair, is that less than 2 weeks ago, the local DFI team wrote to myself saying that the community that they wouldn't provide the difference in cost between standard streetlights and heritage or traditional style streetlights, and that the community would have to come up with the cost themselves. And then more recently, we've seen it be reported in local news, and obviously there was a question asked or a press release of some description from DFI about this, where they have now said that they are going to actually try and seek the external funding that's needed, which is good. But I also know, Chair, they have not replied to us. And, you know, Chair, I think that's it. Oh, have they replied to us?
Sorry, Chair, just to clarify, so this is only a recommendation. It will only be actioned following the adoption of the minute this evening, so we haven't been in contact.
Okay, I apologise on that last point, but me point wider is about moving in the right direction. But what the main point that I wanted to make, Chair, was that this shouldn't rely on external funding. when this was happening on the Ormeau Road in Belfast, and councillors wrote to ministers, and I know I wrote to the minister on this occasion, I've yet to hear back directly from her office, but when councillors in Belfast wrote to the infrastructure minister in the past couple of years about the exact same thing, they responded, they found the money in the budget, not externally, and they kept on what was a longer stretch of road and no doubt far more expensive than it would be in Derrygonley. They kept the traditional heritage style lighting, Chair. And I also think it's important to say there are a number of listed buildings on that street, and I know people have had to get windows replaced and stuff like that, and they've had to pay more out of pocket to do that. What a middle finger to them, just changing the street lights. So, Chair, you know, if that was me or you and we had a traditional heritage style property or something in our property that was listed and of important local heritage, if we changed it without the correct permissions and without maintaining it to that standard, we'd be prosecuted. So we would, or at least fined very heavily and asked to change it back or change it to the correct style. So, Chair, I would like to propose that in addition to this, because I've been thinking about it since then, that we write to the Historic Environment Division, who would normally be consulted on matters of listed buildings, and write to them and ask, did DFI ask for permission to change the style of lighting from that heritage style, and did they consider the impact on other listed buildings on the street in Derrygonley? Because you know what, Chair, if it's good enough for Belfast to have their heritage maintained and their tourism appeal maintained, it's good enough for Derrygonley too, Chair.
Okay, thanks very much. Councillor Anthony Feely.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Yeah, much similar issue to Adam there. Thank John. I emailed John Hughes about this as well, and he gave me an update on it as well. So I'd like to hear from John as well about that. And I'll second Adam's proposal there as well. But I just want to hear from John there.
Okay. We'll accede to that. John, are you there? You've got your machine on there, your light on.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, as both members have alluded to, this has come up with DFI, and as Alison's referred to, the correspondence discussed at the last meeting would only be actioned after tonight's was, and I know you've acknowledged that, but separately then DFI have also been in touch with the council directly on foot of the public responses and the public contact from them. So I know our officers have been responding to DFI, and certainly we have gone back with suggestions that that DFI should be able to resource this from within their own budgets, and certainly it would be our view that there are solutions that would be available to them that should be fully explored. I know within just on the point about the consideration of the streetscape in an email DFI have referred to Derrygonley not being a conservation area, so I'm not sure what impact that would have in terms of HED remit, but certainly that's something that we can explore in any correspondence arising from tonight.
Okay, thank you. John, if IT could readmit perhaps Councillor Kelly, Councillor Podrigan Kelly there, please. Thank you. Okay, so got an answer there. We have no further councillor contributions on that. All agreed with the proposal, members, all agreed. Could I just make a proposal as well around street lighting? One, that we have an informal meeting with the street lighting section of DFA, because we have lots of issues, haven't we? We've all lots of issues that we'd like to collate for communicating till, I think it's Keith Meehan and others in the team, you know, the street lighting section. And in the meantime, if we could write to DFA roads manager and street lighting section, calling for a review of changes to street lighting in Gallows Hill area of Omagh, from a community safety point of view, and from an effectiveness point of view, because residents there keep telling me that changes that were made are detrimental, they're not an improvement, and they've shown me pathways that used to be lit up, but the pole was moved a few metres, and that denies the lighting up of those pathways, and residents are concerned. So I would like to make that proposal, if I could get a seconder for that. Okay, Councillor Feely caught me eye first, then Councillor Riley, so split second. Thank you. Was that what you were doing? You're happy enough, Anthony? You had indicated, and okay, I read the support from others just in a different way. Councillor Gannon?
Yes, Chair, it's just on your point of contacting DFA and in particular their street lighting division, their Western division, just to note, and I've had some correspondence of our own IT team, that, I don't know if this is the same for other councillors, but that their emails are always blocked and quarantined. I don't know if that's the case across the board. It's a legitimate government email address, and maybe it's just me, but the form that was sent to get it whitelisted has aspects that don't really apply to councillors. So perhaps that's something that could be looked at by IT. I don't know if it's a problem across the board or maybe it's just me.
Okay, thanks very much. I think we were at the end of it, were we? Okay, but did we get Nolene's? Oh, sorry, we did in the earlier part, that's right. So now we're at item number 9, isn't that right? Okay, so I'll take out my pack here. So this is 11 pages. Errol's our chairman there and would like him to involve himself in the proposal if he's so inclined. So that's item 9. So for accuracy only, page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4, page 5, page 6, page 7, page 8, page 9, page 10, and page 11. Errol?
Yeah, thank you very much, Chair. Happy to propose for the adoption of the Regeneration and Community Committee minutes of Tuesday, the 10th of March, 2026.
Okay, I'll look around the room for a seconder for that. Okay, thanks, Councillor Anne-Marie Donnelly. Seconded. So matters arising then, page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4, page 5, page 6, page 7, page 8, page 9, page 10. Okay, Councillor Gannon, an earlier page maybe?
It's just page 9, Chair. It's just around the point of factual accuracy. Now, I'll not get into the debate that we had, and I must say it was actually a very well-mannered debate, and it was a good debate that was had. But I wanted to ask the Chief Executive, previously there was discussion in the Chamber around motions not being factually accurate. In this case, I felt it was an amendment. Regardless of that, there was due to be, and maybe it's already done, a bit of work done considering how factual accuracy would fall in line with standing orders. If that has already been done, could that be relayed by the Chief Executive, or if it's not complete at this stage, maybe an update on where we are?
Yes, certainly, Chair. That work is completed and it was issued, it needed to check back when, but certainly it was around guidance for motions was how we determined it. It was updated then within standing orders, and there was also a sort of an explanatory annex attached to standing orders to assist with that. Also included a template regarding potential wording that members may wish to use for motions. So this council will, for example, and we also dealt with where there were matters of factual inaccuracy in a motion as submitted, that we would obviously liaise with the proposer or seconder for that to be clarified. There was also some discussion when those matters were being considered by the council around the importance of, I think there was maybe a concern around subjectivity. And so for example, something may be perceived as negative, perhaps to the council or others, but may not be inaccurate. So that I think we've built in sufficient protections for that. So that work is all completed and incorporated now within standing orders.
So just one follow-up. Thank you very much, Chief Executive. So if a claim is made in a motion, it just to clarify, that's researched and checked, even if it's in an appendix of a 100-page document somewhere where that might be. Is that something that's checked in that occasion?
Yes, certainly when a motion is submitted, it would be checked for accuracy. We'd obviously always get the legal advice in relation to it, and it would be then determined whether or not a motion would comply with standing orders. Similarly, in relation to amendments, they are also required to meet with standing orders, albeit the guidance, I suppose, around amendments is relatively straightforward. Essentially, it's adding words, removing words, not putting an additional burden. But the same inherent principle around a motion would also be included with an amendment consideration. But if it's of assistance, Chair, I can certainly recirculate that to members, even in the morning, just the guidance and where that can be found.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so that was page 9, I think, page 10, and page 11. And we've already that adopted. Okay, so we'll go now to the Policy and Resources Committee. And in your agenda, I think that's item number 11, and our chair there is Councillor Thomas O'Reilly. And it amounts till, I think, 9 pages, I think. 9. Okay, so accuracy, page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4, page 5.
Chair, just on page 5 in relation to accuracy, if we could ask the council to adopt the minute, please, with the exception of recommendation 1 under item 4.5, that related to document redaction guidelines, and we've received some further advice in the intervening period. So just want to do some further updates to that before the council would take a final position. So we will report back to committee on that when that work is complete.
Okay, so that's for information now, and we can deal with that at the end here. Okay. Page 5 and page 6, page 7, page 8 and page 9. And I think what we're being asked to do here is to adopt these minutes as accurate, with the exception of item 4.51. Isn't that right? Okay, so I'll look now to Councillor Reddy for his commentary.
Thank you, Chair. I'm happy to propose the adoption of the minutes of Policy and Resources on the 11th of March, with the exception of 4.51 as outlined by Chief Executive.
Thank you. And I'll look around the room. Councillor Roof caught my eye first, so that's good. Seconded. And agreed, members. Okay. Then we go on now till item 13 in the agenda. Councillor Green is our chairperson.
Just of matters arising, Chair.
Aye.
Same resources.
Oh, sorry. Matters arising. That was very substantive in terms of accuracy, so that's what confused me. Sometimes I be confused. Okay. Do you, Roy, do you ever be confused? So, I know. Matters arising then, page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4. Councillor Deehan, is your hand up?
No, Chair, I actually cannot see on my screen if my hand is up or not up. So I'll try taking it down.
No problem. And you've achieved it there on my screen, and I'll keep checking on you. Okay.
Thank you.
Page 4 and page 5 and page 6 and page 7 and page 8 and page 9. So that's agreed. Moving on. Councillor Green is our chairperson of the audit panel meeting, and that met on the 18th of March. So I'll look to Seamus at the appropriate moment for adoption. And again, it's accuracy first. Page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4, page 5, page 6, page 7, and page 8.
Thank you, Chair, and I'm happy to propose the minutes of the Audit Committee.
Thanks very much. And Councillor Robinson has seconded. That's agreed, members. So we'll go through now for matters arising. And in your agenda, that would be item 14. So page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4, page 5, page 6, and page 7 and page 8. Okay, members, thanks for that. Move on to item 15 now, and correspondence. Can you take us through that,
Yes,
Alison?
Chair, thank you. So members, quite a number of items of correspondence this evening. Firstly, we had written previously to the Western Trust, and this related to cross-border initiatives. So the response sets out really the work of COT, both in terms of its core purpose and governance, but then appended to the letter is really a briefing paper in terms of the various activities which COT have undertaken together with the funding drawn down and the value of that.
Okay, thanks very much. Go now to Councillor Coyle.
Thanks, Chair. Yeah, I want to acknowledge the correspondence, but and I think some of it is really good. Some of those programs, you know, I didn't realise were going on, but I would have preferred something that was relevant to our actual area, because, you know, if there was 10,000 people, for example, benefiting, you know, was 4 or 5 of those in our council area, or was it just 500? You know, so I would kind of like to write back, and if they do have the figures for our council area, because they are interesting. There's some really good programs in there, and the ones that are going on at the minute around alcohol abuse and for older people, they're things that we need to know about here if they're going on in our council area, so that if people come to us, that we're able to tell people that these things are available for them. But written as it is, the information is as given to us, we don't know where they're taking place, a lot of it. So I'd like to ask if we could write back and ask for a little bit more, you know, local knowledge for our particular council area, so that we can inform people that need that support. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, Nolene's willing to second that. Debbie, would you be of a mind to include in your proposal, again, not for the sake of it, but because of its substantive nature, an informal meeting of this council with COT? Okay. Okay, and Nolene would be willing to second that as well. Okay, thank you. Next one then, agreed.
Yes, Chair, the next, again, just for noting, and it's from DFI Rivers, it's just formal notification of their annual maintenance programme. Members will know the officer who's referenced, our officer who's referenced is retired a number of years, so I'm a little bit surprised their contacts are so out of date for the council, but we'll liaise to update those as well.
Okay, proposer to note then, and look, Councillor Feely is indicating here, Councillor Anthony.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Yeah, I was reading through this letter, and I did notice when I see Margaret's name there, it's a bit strange, okay, but I propose to note, it's good to have that information there, and we can check out what's going on, so propose to note.
Spotted Councillor Little's willingness there to second. Okay, thank you. And agreed.
Okay, thanks, Chair. The next 3 items, they're all from NILGA, and there are various events that NILGA have arranged. So there's the local government webinar regarding upcoming changes to land registration seminars. The second is the Joe Cox Foundation and the marking of the anniversary and really the pack for councils and councillors. And then finally, personal resilience and handling intimidation. So we just would ask, Chair, if any members are minded to attend, that they'd maybe notify Democratic Services so that we can just keep those details updated. And the other thing, just to advise, Chair, we received correspondence from NILGA advising their event, which is for tomorrow, has been postponed. So we will notify members of the revised arrangements when we receive those.
Okay, thank you. I'll go now to Councillor Coyle.
Thanks, Chair, and I'd like to note the correspondence, but if I can just have 1 minute, because I can't see anywhere else to bring this in, because one of the pieces of correspondence at a previous meeting was an invitation to attend an ILGA and AILG conference in Cavan, which myself and Nolene attended. And I just want to let you know that it was a very informative conference with contributions from many councils across this island. There were female elected reps spoke about the violence and abuse that they have experienced, often starting online and then outside their homes, places of work, and on the street. And there were great presentations given also on allyship in action. So this isn't just about saying that you oppose domestic violence or violence against women and girls, but that you also challenge it, including the jokes and banter that are all too often acceptable and accepted as funny. Misogyny and predatory behaviour, where people think they can just get away with things, must be challenged. NILGA, in partnership with the Association of Irish Local Government, officially launched a joint pledge on leadership in local government to end violence against women and girls at that conference. This pledge represents a genuine commitment to integrate ending violence against women and girls initiatives across all council work across this island, strengthening cross-border cooperation and proactive leadership in this area. And I want to mention as well that the continuing commitment and work that our own council in Fermanagh and Omagh are doing as part of this work, for example, Be the Change campaign and all the work done alongside Fermanagh and Omagh Women's Aid. And I had to leave slightly early because it was running late, that conference. It was very, very good, very emotive. And so I never actually saw a copy of the pledge, and I've tried to find it. So I would like to ask if we can write to NILGA to get a copy, and that copy of that pledge is distributed to all 40 councillors, please.
Okay. That's
Thank you.
proposal and seconded by Councillor Hayes, who attended it similarly. Okay, and that's agreed. So continue on our dialogue and correspondence here.
Thank you. The next item, 15.4, is just an update from the Northern Ireland Courts and Tribunal Services, and they're the changes to court fees effective from the 1st of April. Chair, just for noting.
Okay, proposer and a seconder. Any legal eagles in this room? Okay, Councillor Gannon, Councillor Hawkes as proposed and seconded. Thank you. That's agreed.
The next item, Chair, is just confirmation from the Department of Justice of the making of the statutory rule. It's again one of the elements around the Coronavirus Act, and it's just provisions relating to live links for courts and tribunals. Again, just for noting.
Okay, I'll just look for a proposer and a seconder for that. Councillor Anne-Marie Donnelly and Councillor John Feely proposed and seconded. Thank you. And agreed.
Yeah.
And then 15.6.
15.6, Chair. So this is the response from the Department for Housing, Communities and Local Government, and this is the motion that the Council had adopted regarding the Local Growth Fund. So in summary, and I suppose one of the main areas of concern that members had discussed was the change in the split of funding around capital and revenue. So the response is saying there is no mechanism for that to be changed. They acknowledge the challenge, and essentially it seems that the only encouragement is to apply for Peace Plus funding.
Okay.
That's it.
Councillor Brown.
Thanks, Chair. Yeah, I just think it's important that we note our despair at that response from the British government. You know, they have not listened one bit to the hundreds of community organisations who are struggling now with this cut in funding, the staff that have been made redundant, the people, the service users who will go without that vital service now. The British government just stuck their head in the sand and did not care one bit about the harm that they were going to cause to people. And this is what happens whenever we are relying on a British government to actually make decisions in our interest. They won't, and they never have, and they never will. So it's just really disappointing again. So that's it, Chair.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Brown. And a seconder to note would be helpful. Councillor Hayes is helpful again. Thank you. Second in that correspondence. Okay, where are you now, Alison?
Yeah,
correspondence?
Item 15.7, Chair. It's an invitation from Coromila for the service for the Day of Reflection on the 21st of June, which this year will be held in St Peter's Cathedral in Belfast, and the details are included. So just seeking if there's any interest, Chair, in that event, we could take nominations.
Okay, take nominations now. Or in
Well,
June?
or we could take it next month if members prefer to have some time.
I probably would think that people check their diaries and stuff. Okay.
Okay, we'll hold it then till
Yep.
next month, Chair.
Thank you very much.
We'll maybe just noting in the meantime.
Okay, proposed to note. Okay. Okay, Councillor Debbie Coyle has proposed to note. Have I got a seconder to note? Councillor Rosemary Barton, thank you. Okay, and agreed. It's like an auction. Serious business, this.
So the next item, Chair, is from the Commissioner for the Ulster Scots and Ulster British Tradition, whom you hosted a meeting with recently, Lee Reynolds. So this really is to seek the Council's opinion on translation services in relation to Ulster Scots. So, Chair, mindful this was actually something discussed even at the Environmental Services Committee meeting last month. So certainly from an officer perspective, I think we would welcome if such translation services were available under the auspices of the Commission and would be inclined to respond accordingly.
Okay. Okay, so we've got Councillor Hayes.
Thank you, Chair. And I'm happy to note the correspondence. And as Alison said, we actually had our first 2 applications for the dual language signage in Ulster Scots last month. So I think any help in getting the translations correct would be welcome. So I'm happy to note the correspondence, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Have we got a seconder? Councillor John Feely. Okay. Just in relation to translation service, it's one I mentioned at the Dáil in the Gaeilge, and I would know Councillor Withers would have a particular interest in this as well. It's just to perhaps somehow revisit Springwell Drive's translation in Berra, Caja Springwell. It was mentioned to me, you know, by the late Seamus Rogers. He was a Gaeilgeoir from Berra, and he carried a torch for that, you know, for that to be revisited and a better translation achieved than just the mere reiteration of Springwell. You know, there's an Irish word for spring, there's an Irish word for well. You know, could it not have been incorporated better? So I kind of carry that torch for the late Seamus Rogers, and I'm making that proposal. Councillor Withers might. I'll come to Councillor Mahan next.
Yep, Chair, I'm happy to second that. So if we can revisit that, then I think that's something we could do. Anything that reflects the language particularly, then that's what we should do. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Mahan.
Thank you, Chair. I would just, the proposal to note there, I'm just wondering, what is it, are they looking for in the letter? Or
Which service are they providing or whatever?
No, there's 2 elements, Chair. So the Commissioner is just seeking our views. He has been doing a number of engagements regarding whether we as a council would consider it of assistance if he potentially within his office could provide translation or signposts to translation services for Ulster Scots, and also is just seeking a copy of our dual language, or sorry, our signage policy, which we could provide. So it was something actually in the chair's meeting, and indeed the public or the wider meeting following that it was discussed. And I think there may be an ambiguity between the respective responsibilities of the Ulster Scots Agency and the Commissioner. And this is perhaps a part of the reason for the correspondence, just to clarify Council's individual interpretations.
is it just more for clarification, more than looking for a response, is it?
Well, no, it's if essentially, Chair, in the second page of the letter, the Commissioner is asking to establish if this, namely translation, is a common concern across councils, and he's seeking to establish if we as a council would value receiving such advice on translation services. So he is seeking our opinion.
I think we would value translation service, maybe not just for street signage, but for other signage maybe and things, so and documents and stuff. So I propose that we do seek the advice if it's possible.
Okay. Yeah. So no, I think, Chair, that's reflected in the proposal. To date, we have that.
For noting, yeah.
Okay. So we've got the proposal and seconder for noting, haven't we?
Yes, you've everything
Okay.
tidied up.
Okay, that's great. Any other correspondence then?
Sorry, Chair, just on the secondary proposal in relation to the reviewing of the translation, we'll certainly do that, but we just need to check the timescales as to when this may be a historic matter, or if it has happened more recently, I'm not sure. It's just if it's within the 6 months period, that's all.
Okay, thank you. It would be a considerable time. It would be a considerable time, I think. Wouldn't it? Yeah.
No, that's
Okay, so
yeah.
15.9.
15.9, Chair. This is a response from the head of the civil service in relation to the council's correspondence in November. We had asked some points of clarification really for then what had been the recent visit of the Minister to Education, or for Education's visit to Israel. So the Dr. Brady is just setting out, I suppose, her responsibility as head of the civil service, the matters that she is in a position to investigate, and the matters then that are outside of it. So really just for noting, Chair.
Okay, I'd take a proposer to note, so I would, if there was such a person in the room. Councillor Robinson, thanks very much. And Councillor Buchanan, proposed and seconded. And go to Councillor Gannon.
Thank you, Chair. And just a quick question. I believe at the same time we wrote about this issue, did we also write to the British government, the relevant department? Because I believe that the British governmental policy is that any ministers cannot visit the occupied territories, and I don't think we've had a response yet. No, I can see the Chief Executive. I was just checking if we had had a response.
We had a few letters on it, Chair, and that certainly was one regarding the occupied territories. And my recollection is this is the first letter that we have received back. We can certainly do a reminder to those that remain outstanding.
Okay, and I've got the propose and seconding of the noting of that. That's done. So,
and sorry, Chair, just to note, we only had one item of other correspondence, which was the briefing for members, which was dealt with earlier in the agenda, just that had come from the Western Trust.
Okay, thanks very much. So we move now till item 16 in the agenda, and that is to consider the delegation of council powers to the R&C Committee, Regeneration and Communities Committee, and over to you on that, Alison. Just help me.
Yeah, Chair, just one item, and there's just some recommendations from the Event Strategy Working Group, which are time sensitive. So therefore, we'd be requesting council powers this week to enable, subject obviously to the committee's approval, to allow those matters to be progressed.
Councillor Thompson.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Thank you, Chief Executive. I'm happy to propose the delegation of council powers to Regeneration Community Committee this month, April 2026.
Councillor Ovens.
Thank you very much, Chair, and I'm happy to second that. But if I could make just one request, and if Earl is perhaps content to propose that as well. So, I mean, whenever I look at this issue, our colleagues will know, our councillors across the chamber will know exactly my position and the position of a number of my party colleagues in terms of fireworks displays. It's a really popular service. When it was delivered by the council, many families would see it as a core basic service, even though it's discretionary. Many families would expect or would really wish to see the service brought back by the council. Incredibly popular, big crowds, and all of that. So I do welcome the fact that eventually it feels like this has been an issue I've been talking about from it came onto the council, but I do really welcome the fact, particularly for Omagh, that the council is now prepared to put, I think it's £25,000 towards the potential offering of a service or of a display later this year in Omagh, which is brilliant. But we can't fund a display in one town and not the other. And I appreciate NSERC and Enniskillen Bid have very generously and very effectively, and absolute credit to them for the last number of years, they have stepped in. But if the council is going to put £25,000 into a display in Omagh, I think it's only fair and only appropriate that the council equally puts money into a display in Enniskillen. Because I say it shouldn't be for local business to step in and fund a service, or some would see it as a retrograde step from the council whenever they pull that funding. So, Chair, I'm just going to make a proposal that we tweak that recommendation within the report that's going to R&C tomorrow night. But Chair, so I appreciate it'll be a recommendation from the events working group. So I'm saying now, as full council, we have the authority tonight, and I know I suspect I'll be told it can't be done, but I'd be of the opinion that tonight, if we took a conscious decision, if £25,000 is going to be agreed tomorrow night for Oma, we should be in a position to agree £25,000 for a display in Enniskillen tonight, because I look and I will be told it's unaffordable. It's not unaffordable. As of the end of January, this council had an underspend of, I think it was around 1.7 million. Variance, some people in the council would say it. I would consider it an underspend. It's clearly affordable. This.
So we're going to get some procedural advice.
Yeah.
Procedural advice.
Okay.
And perhaps Chair, I could come back if appropriate.
So, Chair, it's solely proceed. The matter is already on an agenda for another committee and therefore cannot be ruled on by the council. The sole decision before the council this evening is whether you delegate council powers. Matters in relation to any of the recommendations from the Events Strategy Working Group would then therefore fall to the committee. Obviously, members can seek speaking rights at the committee, but that is the appropriate locus now for decisions on this matter.
Okay, Chair. Well, it seems that there isn't always an equitable approach to some decisions, because this council sometimes is able to take a decision on some things that would be more relevant for committee, but then not. So, Chair, I appreciate what the Chief Executive has said. I don't agree with it, but Chair, as I say, I'm happy to second the delegation of powers to the committee. But in the full anticipation that next month under Matters Arising, I will be making a similar proposal that we fund, if there's a decision to fund a display in Oma this year, which hopefully there is, that I will be making a proposal that we fund a similar, or that we make a financial contribution to the display in Enniskillen. Because again, I make the point, it is not for local business and local employers to step in where this council has failed.
Okay, we've heard your views on that, your commentary, and you've got procedural advice, but I go now to Councillor Seamus Green.
Just on the procedure of it, Councillor Ovens is after saying there that this has been done previously. Is there any examples of where this has been done previously? Because I would be quite concerned if this has been done previously, because it isn't allowed on the procedure. So if he or the Chief Executive can enlighten me of previous examples of this, that'd be great to be able to judge the situation.
Okay, allow Councillor Ovens in because he's been directly referred to.
Well, Chair, I mean, we're 2 hours into a meeting, or 2.5 hours into a meeting where we've sent, it seems that we've decided to send a countless, and some would say an enormous amount of letters tonight of variable benefit. Most, if not, or most of those letters, I'd be of the opinion, relate to matters that could be discussed within committee. As just one example.
Okay, final say on this.
So, Chair, no, I think it's important. Just there's, I can understand Councillor Ovens' comments, but in response to Councillor Green's query, I am certainly not aware of any matter that is already included and published on another meeting agenda that the council then takes a decision on, because it is simply not allowed.
Yeah.
The matter of the appropriateness of positioning of papers, either here or for committees, is clearly set out in standing orders, and certainly any of the letters before members this evening have emanated from the council as opposed to committees or other structures.
Okay, I accept that procedural advice is correct. I'm going to go now to Councillor Thompson.
Yep, thank you very much, Chair. Well, bearing in mind what Councillor Ovens has said, I remind Councillor Ovens that he has 3 party colleagues who are on Regeneration Community Committee.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Final word on this subject is Councillor Gannon.
Thank you, Chair, and just to state, look forward to discussing it in committee, and just to state in council that I know myself, I'd be sympathetic with the point that Councillor Ovens is raising around equitability, equal amounts for the respective county towns. Obviously, we'll discuss that on Thursday evening here. And I hope to see if there's a proposal along those lines, or if Councillor Ovens is able to be there. Maybe I might be one of the first people to say this. I would welcome and his contribution, and would be interested to hear what he'd have to say on it. I know many in the chamber mightn't agree, but I think there is a valid point in what he's saying, Chair.
Okay, thank you. So, conclusion on that? As concluded. Okay, that's been agreed, members, to delegate those powers. Now we move to item 17, and we've got a notice of motion before us, and the motion before us is going to be proposed by Councillor Green and seconded by Councillor O'Reilly. And Alison, I'll just take your advice. I think we've received an amendment as well.
We have, Chair, which has been uploaded and from the Ulster Union is proposed by Councillor Warrington.
Okay.
the amendment. So, and it meets the requirements of standing orders.
Okay, thank you. So we'll go now. Councillor Eddie Roof.
Thanks, Chair. Just for a point of accuracy, really, on the amendment, on the one advanced data, there's no mention of a seconder for the amendment. Just wanted to get clarity on that, if that's...
I think it's being confirmed this evening, which is, Councillor Warrington can do so now. Chair, we'll pick that up.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to go now to Councillor Green, and Councillor Green has 5 minutes. Would Councillor O'Reilly come next? Is that the way of it? Yep, with 3 minutes. Isn't that right? Followed by...
Just contributions.
Thank you. Thank you. Councillor Green.
So I take it I'm speaking on the proposal, not the amendment. This motion has come forward from myself and Councillor O'Reilly and the Sinn Féin team as a way of thinking outside the box. Minister after minister after minister from all different parties have had the unenvious position of having the Department of Infrastructure. We all know health, education as the priority, and rightly so. Everyone is very concerned about health. Roads ends up very far down the list. It always gets the squeeze. When, for instance, Minister Nesbitt looked for extra money, other departments had to their budgets had to be squeezed again, and roads has been squeezed and squeezed and squeezed over the decades. For the last 100 years, particularly, the border roads have been neglected on both sides of the border, I might say. We go back to the 1950s when the rail was taken from every town and village around the western part of the north of Ireland. The promised motorway was stopped at Dungannon. So all the border roads has been vastly underinvested in for decades upon decades. So this was a motion to try and come up with some other way of providing the minister with extra funding over and above that wouldn't be taken out of some other department's budget. So when we were thinking of this, we thought maybe to try and get the British government, Irish government, EU, with cross-border funding, all together, North, South Council, East, West, and try and come up with some kind of a budget that would fix that border corridor that has been hugely underinvested for 100 years. As I said, our rail was stripped out, the motorway never came, so there is decades and decades of underfunding there that we can clearly see. So myself and Thomas and the team decided to try and look outside the box. That's what we're trying to do. We've come up with this to try and write to all of these parties to construct a road summit and have it in Fermanagh, Air and East if possible, and try and come up with some kind of a solution. I remember, if you go back 20, 25, 30 years ago, the roads in the south, right across the country, were in pieces. They never were able to get the funds themselves to do it. They did it through collaboration with the EU, and did every road in the country. So that's what I'm hoping, that along the border corridor, if possible, that this underinvestment for 100 years can be rectified. Now, I just know, and from the amendment, that there's going to be party politics played in this. And that's all right. There's an election coming and that, but we can all act childish in that. But every party that has had this infrastructure department are struggling for funds. This funds is getting less and less every year. It's been squeezed. So if we don't try and think outside the box, if we don't come together as politicians in Fermanagh and Omagh and try and take a lead to try and come up with some other solution, people out there is crying out for this. People going to their hospital appointments, to their GP appointments, and crossing this road. I had a young lad today rang me. He had 2 tires, 2 alloy wheels smashed, his suspension in his car smashed going to work. That's the reality. We have to get out of the bubble of thinking party political. We need to come together as a council. We need to support this and try, at least try, to get something different, a different type of funding. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. So that's all I'll say now. But I propose the motion to the chairman.
Thanks for staying within the time confines of your proposal. And it's up to Councillor O'Reilly next.
Thank you, Chair, and I'm sure you'll keep me right in sticking within the time limits. In seconding this motion, Chair, I want to just say a little bit about the idea, as Seamus has outlined there, of bringing forward this motion. It is about not looking to blame anybody. We have, as all parties, lobbied for years and years, as long as I've been in this chamber, and probably a lot longer, about the need for more investment in our roads, and not alone just to keep our roads in a viable state, but to improve them. And this motion is about trying to do something different. It's about using the opportunity that we do live along a border corridor area to look to see if we can get a bigger pot that might be of some assistance to helping our citizens. And this, right across all of the border councils, would be required to buy into this to make it viable. It's one thing about talking about regional development and trying to get more jobs and more industry and all the rest. But one of the things that we do know is the transportation costs and all the rest of it. This is a way to look at trying to help that regional balance in saying this is an area that has been particularly underfunded on both sides of the divide, and to look at finding a way over and above the normal budget that is there to try and augment that budget and to help the people that are so far removed from the centre, from Belfast and Dublin, and to give them an opportunity to have an equal status on their travel journeys. It's also about making our area more accessible so that we get the tourists, we get the people to come, so it's not just to the main centres, that we get people to go out into the rural areas, engage with our rural communities, and be able to allow them to stay in the rural areas and provide a good standard.
You can ask members to listen to the speaker, please, because I know you're going to be replying to the speaker. So if I could just take you back a wee bit, Thomas, sorry to do that on you.
That's grand. Chair, this came out of the idea that was born at the Blackwater Clonus East Partnership, a cross-border partnership that we, some of us here sit on. And it is something that, as Seamus says, may not gather legs just at the moment, but if we do not, as a rural border council, look for something different and just continuously cry about underfunding, we'll continue to do it for another 25 years. So we need to try something, put forward something, and at least it gives it a fighting chance of being taken up. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Hayes.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I'm obviously supporting this motion, and thanks to Seamus and Thomas for bringing it. I won't go over what all the comments already said. I echo all the comments that already said. I'd just like to say that the current system isn't working for rural roads, no matter what minister has the Minister for Infrastructure. It doesn't work. Rural roads have been neglected for years and years and years. So this is just trying something different. And we literally have nothing to lose. That's to try. So I don't know why anyone would be negative about it. I'm an Erne East councillor as well, and the roads are shocking. I'm sure, I'm always getting inquiries about the state of the roads, and it's just constantly being patched up and patched up and patched up. And the investment just isn't there. The money just isn't there. So this idea of collaboration across the border area, I say, why not? Why not? We should go for it and do something different. As you said, we've got nothing to lose. Okay, thank you, Chair.
Okay, thanks very much. Go now till Councillor Donnelly.
Thank you very much, Chair, and can I thank the members for bringing forward the motion. I think that it is an interesting idea, and I think that it is at least worth exploring. It's quite high level in nature, and it would take a lot to go right to bring it together, but I mean, that's no reason for not at least attempting to bring it together. So from that perspective, I'm more than happy to support it. I suppose as a Omagh councillor, whilst I'm deeply aware of the issues that come up in Omagh in terms of potholes and road defects, I'm not under any illusion about the fact that the problem is far worse outside of the urban boundaries of our district, not least as a resident of Clannabogan. And I think this was brought home to me quite recently. And, we all have our examples, but I was travelling to a wake in Cornavara just a couple of days ago. And I think the road was possibly one of the worst ones that I've driven on in recent times. And it made me reflect on the fact that, whenever we talk about this, obviously it's in the context of the fact that people are concerned about damaging their vehicles. They're concerned about being able to get to work on time. We're concerned about making sure that they're able to get quick access to hospitals via ambulances and all the rest of it. But in a situation like that, with a wake and a funeral to come, it struck me that this is something that interacts with people quite often in their most vulnerable moments. So it's something that it is important that we get right, that we see that investment equitably being spread to all parts of our society, including west of the Ban and in our rural communities. And I think that it is right that we do identify the historic underinvestment that has plagued the border corridor, in effect, in Tyrone and Fermanagh. So from that perspective, Chair, I'm more than happy to support this motion.
Thank you. Councillor Gannon.
Thank you, Chair. And I think, as everyone knows, the roads are in the worst state they've ever been in. The most recent DFI meeting, I believe the manager confirmed that the worst he had ever seen in his time. And I know that Councillor Green has mentioned party politics, and he has struck a very conciliatory tone tonight regarding this issue. But when it was not a Sinn Féin minister, he made sure to take every swipe possible and did so with great vigour, which he's very much was entitled to do. And I would be very curious if we're both fortunate enough to stand and be re-elected to this chamber, and if a different party took up infrastructure, would he still strike the same conciliatory tone? That would be very interesting to see, because the roads are in the worst situation ever, and there has been historical underfunding. It has been happening for decades, and slowly, the roads have got slightly worse every year. But in the past couple of years, it hasn't been that slow deterioration. It has been an unbelievably rapid deterioration, the likes of which has never been seen, and that has happened under Sinn Féin ministers. It has never got as bad as rattled and shaken. So in terms of the historic underfunding, there has been historic underfunding north and south, but this is definitely more of a northern problem. Now there is problems in the south too, and in terms of cross-border routes and arterial routes, definitely. But in terms of sheer road quality, it is much more of a north problem as much as it is a south problem. And I think that's an example that the executive should be doing better than what they have. We don't think every pothole will be fixed. We don't think every road's going to be resurfaced, but it shouldn't be as bad as it is. And if every single person claimed who's had damage, and we know everyone here knows people who have had damage to their car, if every single person claimed, that would be a big hell of a hole in the budget that they'd have to pay out. So there's no reason why we couldn't be doing a bit better here in the north as is. And another example, when I drove to Newry, I stayed in the north the whole time. It was horrendous, dodging potholes left, right and centre on main roads. So, Chair, I do think it's important to suggest, as well as asking all these people to come together, to suggest to the proposer and seconder that if they haven't already, to ask their own party ministers to do better with the funding that they have, because it really is atrocious how it is going now, Chair. And the general idea of a cross-border road scheme is definitely worthwhile, and I'll always support anything that will try to bring extra funding to our area and to try and make things better. But still, even at that, I think the infrastructure minister currently should be doing a hell of a lot better than the current sorry state of our roads, Chair. So yes, to be supporting the motion because it's a worthwhile idea, but I think the point needs to be made that we could be doing so much better and it shouldn't be as bad as it is.
Thank you. Councillor Buchanan.
Thank you, Chair. We're glad to see that the motion tonight acknowledges the reality of our roads and that they are in a terrible condition, and that the repeated pothole patching is not acceptable, adequate or sustainable. The reality is that the infrastructure minister is responsible for the condition of the roads across Northern Ireland, and it is the minister who decides where the money is spent, and it's long past the time that money was spent on our roads. We have long stated the need to review the policy of only repairing the highest priority defects, and even then doing only the minimum work necessary to remove any immediate risk. People see the consequences of this daily, that waiting weeks and months for only a temporary repair to take place. As a group, we believe the focus of our council should be on the roads that are within our own boundaries, and make no apology for championing Fermanagh and Omagh. That's where our collective focus should lie. Of course, in my own DEF West Tyrone, there's serious investment in the road infrastructure required to bring our roads up to a good standard. But on the motion tonight, Chair, we'll be supporting. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Withers.
Yeah, thank you, Chair, and welcome the motion as well. I want to thank the proposal of the motion. Certainly it's ambitious, but I think it's worthwhile. Anything we can do to think outside the box and try and move things forward to be innovative is to be supported. So, yep, thanks to councillors for bringing that forward. I know the Councillor Green had mentioned about not getting into party politics, but no surprise, once again, Councillor Gannon has sought to go down that road, and he has again forgot, or, you know, I don't know what the SDLP believe now, but their analysis of the situation is clearly wrong when they're trying to blame certain executive ministers or the executive entirety for underfunding of this place for decades. The roads are in the shape they're in because of a cumulative effect of underfunding for decades. That's the reality. That was the reality under Nick Lamallin, and it's the reality now when Liz Kimmon's the minister. And I just wish that Councillor Gann, the SDLP, would lay the blame at the door of the British government, who refused to invest in public services. But unfortunately, they don't seem to be able to do that. And I really don't understand where they're coming at anymore. Maybe they don't want a United Ireland. Maybe they don't understand. Analysis of the situation is completely wrong, but that appears to be the case with a constant griping from Councillor Gannon every month in this chamber. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. I'll go now to Councillor Victor Warrington. After that, I'd like to go to Josephine online, Councillor Deehan, and then it would come to John McLaughlin, if that's okay. I'm a very democratic asking if it's okay. Okay, Councillor Warrington.
Thank you, Chair. Well, I'll start off by asking the question. I know that this amendment has been proposed by me. Can I delegate that over to someone else, or if I lead on it?
It's okay.
I can delegate it over to somebody else. That's okay.
Yeah.
Despite what some members have said tonight, we aren't going to politicise this. We want to discuss it in an adult manner, and maybe that'll disappoint some people, but we will do that. So I am actually going now to pass this issue over to lead for us on it to Councillor McCloughery. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, and can I come to you, John, in about 2 or 3 minutes? Okay, Councillor Deehan.
Thank you, Chair. Well, I would like to thank Councillor Green and Sinn Féin for bringing this motion forward. I mean, I don't think that we should play the blame game in this. We all know that regardless of who the Minister for Infrastructure is or was, that there has been chronic underinvestment in our infrastructure over many, many decades. I would like to state that I do support this motion. It is ambitious, but we can acknowledge that the state of our roads is untenable. Something has to be done. There has to be some action taken, because we as users of those roads find them extremely hazardous. And I do believe that this initiative proposed in this motion is worth exploring, and I definitely support it, Chair. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Josephine. Okay, I come now to Councillor John McCloughery.
Thank you, Chair. In proposing the amendment, proposing an amendment to this motion, we believe it needs to be brought to the highest level. We as a council are coming to this as the poor cousins. We have no maintenance crews, we have no budget, we have no way of fixing anything. Whereas across the border, Cavan, Monaghan, Leitrim and Donegal County Councils all have crews that maintain the smaller roads, whereas the main roads belong to the higher departments. So in amending this motion, we must bring the Sinn Féin grouping, and it's not to pick on Sinn Féin, but to put it in sporting terms, which is my great love, they're the current managers and they're the ones that are responsible. So the Minister for DFI and the Minister for Finance and the First Minister need to be involved and have to be included in this motion, because we bring absolutely nothing. We offer nothing to the councils that we're going to be dealing with. We offer nothing to the department in the Republic of Ireland, and we bring nothing with us. We have nothing to offer, so we have to bring in these higher level people and have them included, because they have to be included. They have the money, they have the infrastructure, they have the maintenance crews, they have tarmac. I'm glad to hear that Council Hayes is they're filling in hole after hole after hole, because down my end, they don't even bother. They don't fill them in anymore. On the C-class roads, they just simply don't bother anymore. Unless somebody's fallen into it and can't get out of it, then they come along. But at the moment, they're just not doing them. They're sticking to the main roads. So that is the reason we're bringing this amendment. We do support that we need something done, but we need to bring in the people who have the plight.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and I'll just check if there's a seconder for that amendment by even, thanks, Councillor Warrington. Okay. Okay. Aye.
Specifically the amendment.
Okay. Just before I put that, I just want to say my own views here. Very briefly, talk about a real issue that affects people. Every day, each one of us is approached by people. Councillor Green said there he got a call today from someone who had run up a serious car repair bill because of the neglect. And obviously there is a constrained budget at Stormont. We would like it that it wasn't so. You know, we would like it that it was funded properly. Councillor Withers would make that point very often. But even the cost of repairs till families, to drivers, to motorists, you know, if you have a car, you've no money, you know, because you're constantly repairing. I think the motion does a real service to people. Councillor Green's motion, seconded by Councillor Riley. I remember a pamphlet brought out by Quavin O'Keeline, a TD in Monaghan some years ago. It was about the state of roads in his area. And he said it's more about people than roads. And every page said that It's more about people than roads, because it's helping people to get from A to B for their essential reasons, you know. So he said it's about people more than it is about. But I would commend Councillor Green for a well thought out motion, and it's in the context, you know, where he has made interventions previously of a strategic nature for the council, and this is another one. And I would like to think that this would succeed. That's my personal opinion. So I'll leave it at that. Now, I think we're going to vote on the amendment. So, Alison, if you can help us just comment on the amendment prior to the vote.
Okay, so members, just for those of you with access either to One Advanced or the website, you'll see the amendment is in red, and it's just the inclusion at the end of paragraph 1 notes the fact that the First Minister, Minister of Finance, Minister for Infrastructure and the Northern Ireland Executive are all Sinn Féin ministers, or Sinn Féin ministers. So that concludes the amendment, and that's been proposed by Councillor McCloughy, seconded by Councillor Warrington.
Okay. Do I go back to Councillor Green at some point? No, later. Okay, so we'll vote on the amendment and then we go back to Councillor Green. I think that's the appropriate way. So, are we all in agreement with the amendment, members? Okay, so we're going to set up a vote then. Okay, thank you. Take a minute.
After we do the vote.
What they want to do is say, so I hear it. So if you that have the positions. No, yeah, no room. So. Minister. Saves in there. One big note for it, you know.
The chair, so the amendment has,
Look, so the
chair, sorry,
Yep.
you have 13 for
Yeah.
and 18 against. So the
Okay.
amendment falls.
13. Okay, members, that's concluded that. So, in relation to the amendment, you have 13 for and 18 against. So the amendment falls, and I go back now to
Extend the meeting just before.
I take a look at that clock, will you? It's 10:06. So what I do now is I take a proposer and a seconder. Councillor Thompson has anticipated, Councillor Gannon similarly, to extend the meeting because I think we can complete the business. Okay?
Councillor Green, his summary.
Okay. I'll get this off my screen there. I would love to get that off my screen too. Okay, I go now to Councillor Green for his summing up.
Thank you. And given that we're stuck for time, I am going to be short on this. I'm going to take my colleagues' advice there that told me maybe not to get into party politics in reply to some of the things, like I was going to say that concluded the party political broadcast by the SDLP. And I was also going to say, you know, that by their own admission, the UUP offers nothing. But I'm going to resist from doing that, so I'm going to stick to the script. Listen, we all in the chamber know that this is a problem, serious problem. The truth is, where do you, if the Minister of Infrastructure is to get more money, it has to come from some other department. Which other department do we cut? Do we cut education? Do we cut health? Where do we get the money? So there has to be some other idea of possibly being able to get it. So I am happy enough to go with the motion and recommend it. The one other thing I just want to say, the Minister, in fairness to her, did provide 8 million there recently for the repair of potholes. It's a drop in the ocean. We all know that, but they are trying to do it. And in answer to a serious question that Councillor Gannon asked, if there was another infrastructure minister, would I attack them if it wasn't SDLP? And the honest answer is I'm not sure. So I'll leave it at that. It'll depend how they were performing. So I'm happy to propose the motion to the chamber. So that's it.
Okay, we've got a proposal and a seconder for the motion, obviously. And are we all in agreement with that, members? Okay, agreed. Thank you very much. And that's that matter concluded. I move now to item number 18. And I want to go to yourself, John. You want to raise a relevant local matter? Sure. Do you want to know?
Thank you, Chair. Obviously, this weekend, one team from this district was successful in Armagh. Rugby team. This is I think even made more unique. I don't think it's ever been done before where a team has had two teams qualify for the All Ireland, both men and ladies from one club in the one season. Currently now we become the 6th club in Ireland to have a both men's and ladies senior team, which is quite unique. And we're the only team in Ulster that has a men's and ladies senior rugby team. And also on that weekend, our 2 weeks ago, our under-21s won the Ulster Academy Cup. So things are looking good for Enniskillen Rugby. So I'm not sure what would be an appropriate way to
I will have a chat with you about that.
yeah, but we will have a chat, but I thought it would be nice to bring it forward. I'm sure Councillor Elliott will have something to say to us. His sisters would have been heavily involved in the ladies section.
Well, then Councillor Elliott won't be disagreeing with you.
Yeah, just following on from John, couldn't be prouder of the team. Say, I have two younger sisters who were both in the ladies team. They went undefeated all season in Ulster, and for the hard work, I've seen firsthand the long evenings they put in all year. And you know, the men's team and the academy team have done the same. It was a great day up in Armagh on Saturday, cheering them on, the men's team, and I'm sure both teams will hit senior rugby next year with great vigour, and everybody will be behind them.
Thank you. Aaron? Okay. Councillor Roof?
Thanks, Chair. I'm glad that the teams that are being played right now are better than teams that I was playing in when I was at the club. I certainly wouldn't get a sniff near the team that's there at the minute. Some of the calibre of rugby that's been played over the last couple of years has been exceptional, and they got their day in the sun at the last weekend, and they fully deserved it, and were clear winners. It's a credit to the club's committee, the coaches, and the teams. The level of dedication at this stage, you know, even compared to 10 years ago, it's borderline professional. Some of the setup that you have to achieve at that level. So it's a credit to everybody. I have to say it's probably the best team Enniskillen has ever produced, both in the men and the women's. And we've seen year after year in the women's team, in particular at school level, it's a level of domination at the schools cup level, and we're starting to reap the rewards in that front. So yes, just to congratulate them, and yes, hopefully we can get something sorted for the club in the future.
Okay, thanks very much for that, Councillor McLaughlin and other councillors who contributed to that. Okay, so that's any other business, any urgent and relevant business, and I will chat to you about that, John, very soon. So then moving on into part two, I would take a proposer and a seconder, Councillor John Feely, and a seconder, Councillor Campbell and Crawford. They both put the two of them down there in the notes. Councillor Campbell just marginally in as the seconder to go into confidential business. So I think that takes a minute, doesn't it?
Yes, just get them from David.
Okay. Does that take long? About a minute, does it?
It's we're good. We're good to go now.
Okay, we're good to go. So we'll just ask our chief executive to reflect on what happened during confidential minutes.
Thanks, Chair. The minutes of the confidential meeting, the confidential minutes of the council meeting held in March were signed. There were no matters arising from those. The council also confirmed the confidential minutes of the February Planning Committee meeting and received an update on a legal matter. Also confirmed the confidential minutes of Environmental Services Committee meeting and again received an update on an ongoing lands matter, agreed a course of action. Confirmed the confidential minutes of Policy and Resources, also held in March, received an update on a legal matter and considered confidential correspondence from a government department and agreed a course of action.
Does that have to be proposed or seconded? Proposer and the seconder for that, Councillor Stephen Donnelly and Councillor Hawkes. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Chair.
Proposed and seconded. Okay. That's great. Now, this meeting's over.